Bless the Lord, bless him, oh my soul, my innermost. Bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, bless him, oh my soul, my innermost. Forget not his benefits. He forgives your sins. He heals your body, redeems your life from the pit of death. He crowns you with grace and loving kindness, Lord over all, the master of breakthroughs. My soul is grateful, so very grateful. I sing for joy to the living God. He crowns me with grace and loving kindness, Lord over all, the master of breakthroughs. Bless the Lord, bless him, oh my soul, my innermost. Bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, bless him, oh my soul, my innermost. Forget not his benefits. He forgives your sins. He heals your body, redeems your life from the pit of death. He crowns you with grace and loving kindness, Lord over all, the master of breakthroughs. My soul is grateful, so very grateful. I sing for joy unto the living God. He crowns me with grace and loving kindness, Lord over all, the master of breakthroughs. My soul is grateful, so very grateful. I sing
Good evening. Good evening to you all. Good evening, blessed UBN viewer, in the mighty name of Jesus. Welcome to this Monday night broadcast, all of you who are connected right now. It is going to be a very interesting night. I welcome all of you who are on UBN TV right now, who are connected, all of you connected at home there. be greeted in the mighty name of Jesus. And I would advise you to stay tuned. Don't change the channel. And all of you on YouTube, all of you on the UBN app, and all of you on the website, be greeted in the mighty name of Jesus. Let me also greet the interesting audience that is on Facebook right now in the mighty name of Jesus. And I'm talking about you guys because I'm going to give an assignment right now that share that broadcast, share the broadcast with others so that they can also come online and be part of the discussion that is going to be taking place now on this platform. And we just want to thank the Lord right now, our Creator, who made it possible for us to be connected right now. We thank God so much that we have got this opportunity to can be able to discuss matters that concern our lives. And we thank Him very much for these platforms that He has availed to us so that we can use them to be able to connect to each other and be able to discuss things that pertain to the advancement of our communities, our lives. And please share the broadcast even by texting somebody or by WhatsApping somebody so that we can all be connected and be able to participate in the discussion that is going to be taking place right now. And all of you, make sure that you take this seriously, that you tell others to connect. The broadcast is coming to you, and this is enabled by the giving of the partners of UBN. And we thank God for all of them. And you can be able to access UBN, of course, on the internet via the platforms that I mentioned. And broadcasts like this, you are also going to watch the rebroadcast on Tshwane TV as we are there daily, 5 to 6 p.m. and also from 10 to 11 p.m. and also on MPHO TV in the morning every weekend, and also on Soweto TV and 1KZN. We thank God who has given us all these avenues to be able to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. We really praise God, who is so, so wonderful, and who is sustaining us, and whom we saw sustaining us even through this time of COVID-19, this time of the lockdowns. The Lord is wonderful, and He remains wonderful. And let me say there, tonight I'm not alone. As you have been waiting for this, I know that you guys have been waiting. I know that all of you have been waiting, because here we are approaching that time of the local government elections. And as I told you before, when we had IEC here, that it is very important for all of us to participate. It is very important for us to register to vote. And I believe that you have registered to vote because your vote is your voice. And right now, I've got guests here with me here on UBN tonight. On my right, we have got Bishop MASHASHANE from National Christian, South African National Christian Forum. He is here with us. Bishop, we welcome you in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. And he is not the only bishop with us tonight. We also have another bishop, Bishop Adams from ACDP. As you know that tonight here we are hosting representatives of political organizations. They are here. Good evening to you, Bishop.
Thank you. Good evening, Pastor.
Okay, thank you for being here, Bishop. We are very excited to have you here. And on my left, I've got the representative of the African National Congress. He is not here. It's not his first time being here. We heard him before, and he is none other than Mr. SASAVONA MANGANYI. Good evening, Mr. MANGANYI.
Good evening, Pastor. It's great to be back here.
Thank you so much for coming. And we have got the representative of ATM. And the representative of ATM is Mr. MAGWENTSHU. Welcome to you, Mr. MAGWENTSHU.
Welcome, greetings, woman of God.
Okay, thank you so much for coming. And we also have a lady here. She's the only lady, except me, of course, amongst men. Are you sure you have followed the right path? Because when I'm looking at these ones, I see they are all men, and you are the only lady sitting here who is representing a political party. It is interesting, of course, to see that ladies are put on the forefront of, and I'm talking about the representative of the DA, and that is Dr. MPHO PHALATSE. Doctor, we welcome you.
Thank you so much, Pastor, for having me. It's such an honor to be here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I believe that you can't wait. You can't wait to participate as well in this discussion. We are talking about serious issues here, because when we are talking about elections, elections are very important. And local government elections, they come once in 5 years. It's 5 years. And to tell you the truth, 5 years is a very long time. It's a very long time. If we can end up with wrong people ruling us, then we have got to wait for another 5 years for us to can change things. That is why it's very important to talk to all these guys who are here and hear from them what is it that they are planning to do for us. And I must say that this is a Christian platform, of course. It is a Christian platform. I know that there are many platforms that are dealing with a lot of things. And God has given us this platform that talks about even what matters to the Christian community. Because to tell the truth, Christians feel marginalized. And the funny part is that, Bishop, we say that we are the majority, and many people, they will tell you, I'm a Christian, I'm a Christian, I'm a Christian. So many people are Christians, but when we look at mainstream platforms, we find that Christian matters are not really looked at. So tonight here, I know that you children of God, you are connected because you would want to hear what the political leaders are saying, because now is voting time, is elections time. Bishop, you are, I'm talking to the other bishop, you are representing Christians, you are representing churches. I know that you have got many servants of God who are under you, and you are in touch with what the Christian community is going through, what they are concerned about. There are a lot of things, a number of things that are happening around us right now that are affecting children of God, that are affecting churches. Now that we are going to elections, what are the church people saying? What is it that you would want to know from our politicians? I'm gonna give each and every one of you just a bit of time, maybe in 3 minutes, everybody say whatever that they want to say, because we are also going to open this discussion for other people who want to participate, either via sending their comments, their WhatsApps, or calling in. And the numbers that you are supposed to use are on the screen. This is your platform. You can use it. Bishop, over to you.
Thank you very much, as always. I should guess I'm audible. Yeah. We are honored on behalf of South African National Christian Forum. I'd like to greet all the audiences, the viewers, including our panels, core panels actually, that are with me here. We are going to stand and speak for the church, for the body of Christ. Until this point, we feel that as a church, we are not represented by any political party. Especially so during this pandemic period, a number of things has happened, which indeed confirmed and demonstrated that we are not represented. Not even by the parties that are Christian parties, by the way, including ACDP, as you are sitting next to me, including ATM, which we firstly hope that you're going to stand for the church. We have experienced the church being treated cruelly, and police coming in that power of brutality when they deal with the church. We have seen the leading party, ANC, discriminating the church, also putting the regulations to suit the political agenda on the suffering of the church. It is for that reason that we are saying all the parties so far, they have demonstrated not to stand for the church, not to stand for the Christians. The only time that we are known as Christians or churches, it's when they want to use our buildings, our institutions to market themselves, to serve their own agendas. None of these political parties have come publicly and condemned the brutality of Metro police coming full armed and shooting in the churches. None of them. All of them, they celebrated the shooting quietly, simply because they don't care about the church. None of them, including those Christian parties, have ever come and say, we are standing to defend the church. The unfair treatment that we experienced. All that we can say is, the parties at the moment, they are not there for the poor. We know that the church is there to accommodate the poorest of the poor, which the politicians don't care about. We had a position where the politicians were even stealing food parcels. We made a public proposal to the politicians to say, because your people are stealing this food, which was supposed to come to the poor, why don't you work with the church? Because the church is a central institution that cares and deals with the people in the ground. But it never happened, simply because politicians, they are serving their own agenda and they don't care about the church. They want to demonstrate that they are the people who enforce regulations only when it suits them. When they come to the church, it is where they send the SAPS with the guns and shoot our people. But when they are accompanying their corrupt leaders into court, they come in buses. No police will come and enforce the law. We are very disappointed, and we are saying to all South Africans, especially because we are 85% in the country, please, it doesn't matter how many times you do something or you keep on redoing. As long as you don't change the way you are doing it, you will get the same results. And therefore we are saying, our people, We must now get involved as the pastors, as the bishops, on correcting and advising our people on where to put a tick. You don't put a tick on people that constitutional right for that matter. It is for that reason that tonight, as we are sitting here, we would like to hear from all this panel, all the representatives, why should the church vote you? What is that you have for the church? I have heard of all your manifesto. None of your manifesto is talking about the church. None of your manifesto is talking about protecting the religious rights in South Africa. A democracy without the rights, it's not a democracy, it's something else. A democracy without the protection of the same rights, it's nothing, because the rights are becoming the decoration of our constitution. And for that reason, we want to thank God that we are here and we have been accommodated. I'm not going to speak for one church. I am representing over 400 churches as a president of South African National Christian Forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bishop. Obviously, there is a lot of dissatisfaction there. And of course, as churches, we are dealing with quite a lot of things, because in our country, there are many things that are happening, many things that are going wrong right now. People are living in poverty, and they come to the churches, and we are the people who are supposed to deal with that. Immorality is on the increase, and churches teach morality. A lot of injustice that we see, crime, unemployment, and of course, those who are shepherds cannot keep quiet. They cannot just go on as if nothing is happening. So let us start with you, Dr. PHALATSE. Let us hear from you. I know that it's raining heavily. Never mind the rain. It doesn't affect the broadcast that is going out. The people can still hear you. Let us hear from you. There is the bishop. Here is the Christian community saying, okay, what is it that you are saying you will do for the churches, for the Christian community, and even for everyone? Because I mean, the things that are happening in our country right now, they make us to lose hope, and we wonder what kind of a country are we going to leave behind for our children. Let us hear from you, Doctor.
I'm from the Democratic Alliance. The Democratic Alliance believes in constitutionalism. Freedom of religion is enshrined in our constitution, and it's a freedom that we protect and uphold at all times. We have put together a 7-pillar manifesto for residents of the City of Johannesburg, including the church. Because we believe in freedom, fairness, opportunity, equal opportunity for all, and diversity, our manifesto is such that everyone can relate to it, and it serves every constituent of the City of Johannesburg. The first thing it talks about is basic service delivery. We're sitting in a church right now with the lights on, the electricity is working, there's running water, you need to have toilets. Those are basic services that need to be provided by a local government. And as much as we render those services to residents, we must be able to render them to churches alike. We must make sure that you drive to church on streets that are surfaced, streets that are clean. Our second pillar talks to public safety. I know that a lot of our churches often have services even at night, and that you need people to feel safe enough to walk from their house to church without being concerned about their safety. And it is the role, again, of local government to cater for that. Make sure that there is street lights that are operating so that people can see their way to church. Make sure that grass is cut so that criminals don't hide behind tall grass. Make sure that there is police visibility. So those are all things that we will provide for the church as well. Number 3, We want to give everyone a caring city. As Pastor mentioned, a lot of the poor end up coming to the church in search of help. And yes, the church will pray for them, but it's so wonderful when the church is connected to government and is also aware of what programs are there within government to support the poor. And so those partnerships between the church and government are important so that the church is equipped with information and that there are referral systems in place for the church to refer people for help when they need it. A good example is the expanded social package, which is the city's indigent register. Anyone registered on it will access subsidies on their water, electricity, property rates and taxes. And so if the church has information, the church has the forms that explain the process, it becomes easy for the church to also inform its constituents or congregants and become the go-between almost between the community and government. Number 4 is we want to give everyone a business-friendly city in terms of how we interface with the business community, including the church. I know a lot of churches struggle with applications for land, for instance, to fellowship. We want to make sure that all our applications are done online and that there's online tracking and that there's quick turnaround times. We also want to reduce the cost of doing business with the city or the cost of having all those processes observed by the city on your behalf. We also want to give everyone an inclusive city. By inclusive, I mean we want to have development plans that cater for inclusive neighborhoods, which means that if we have a human settlement, there needs to be provision for places of worship because those are integral to community development. And we will make sure as government that in our development plans there is such in place. I know that a lot of churches struggle accessing land, for instance, to build. Yet that is supposed to be part of planning, the planning processes of the city. It must be a prospective thing and not retrospective when churches come and ask for land and we start scratching around for land. We also want to give residents a well-run city, which means, again, how we interface with residents. We want to do most things online. We want to have a 24-hour call center. We want to have an online portal where you can track your queries and so on, a one-stop shop, so that we become very responsive, accessible, and available to assist you. And lastly, we want to give you a smart city. With COVID-19, a lot of people are working from home. Right now, Pastor, a lot of people are watching this from home. Many of them may not be employed. They may not have access to internet. That is something that we're very passionate about addressing, particularly now in the times of COVID, when most of us are having to function remotely. We want to make sure that our churches are also able to function remotely should they need to do so. And that is our 7-pillar manifesto in a nutshell from the Democratic Alliance.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Did you talk about race? Did you mention something about race?
Race.
Race.
Waste.
Your property rates.
Oh, property rates. Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't get that
So
clearly.
there I was talking about a caring city. When I was talking about a caring city, I was saying that there is an indigent register in the city. It's called the Expanded Social Package. It's a package of benefits that anybody who says, I can't afford to live in Johannesburg can access. You need to register. So in other words, you come with your documentation and we register you online. We take your fingerprint and we take a picture of you. You produce your documentation to prove that you are a South African citizen, that what you earn. You bring us your statements from the city on your water, your bills, in other words, your water, electricity bills, etc. And we register you. And then you're able to, the system will calculate for you how much you qualify for in terms of subsidies on your rates and taxes based on your income. And it lasts for 6 months. At the end of the 6 months, you're supposed to come back and re-register. And the reason for that is because we also encourage people on the database to access other opportunities in the city so that they can move out of poverty, so that they don't stay in that state forever. But in terms of churches, and we have NGOs, for instance, they need to register as such. Sometimes we have NGOs that come to us and they say, say, well, we are being billed too much, you know. And when we check their registration status with the city, we find they registered some of them as private business instead of as an NGO. So we're able to retrospectively assist a lot of them to correct their registration status so that they're able to also access those rebates that civil society organizations are able to access from the city.
While we are still on that one, Doctor, people are talking about poverty here. They're talking about poverty because many people are poor, and also now with this issue of COVID-19 pandemic, it has left many people unemployed. And I believe that with the system that you're talking about, it's like you're going to be dealing with nearly everyone. The reason being that rates right now are unaffordable. Everybody is complaining about rates. People are being billed quite a lot to live in Johannesburg. Just for water, the rates are very, the billing is very high, and even property rates are now unaffordable. What kind of help are you going to provide besides the thing that we are going to give those who qualify subsidies? But you're going to end up dealing with nearly everyone, because what people are earning right now cannot cover those kind of rates that the city is charging now. Is there a way that you're going to reverse what is already done?
Definitely, Pastor. So part of the reason why rates are so high is because of the culture of non-payment, even amongst the people who can afford to pay. So that's one of the things that we will be tackling. We will be educating people on the importance of paying for services, and we will be encouraging those who can't afford to register on the ESP database. That's the first thing. Secondly, we need to start driving down the cost of these services. One of the things we'll be doing, particularly, for example, in the electricity space, is the Democratic Alliance has been fighting from a national level for municipalities to be allowed to purchase power from independent power producers. Right now, you've got Eskom that's monopolizing the supply of electricity in this country. We know that with opening up to more participants, you actually stimulate competition. And we know that with competition, you then lower the cost of anything that those providers are providing. So that is one of the ways that we're going to end monopoly and end these high rates, by opening up for more players so that they can start competing on cost, and that our residents, including our churches, can then start paying less for these services. And we know that it's possible. In Cape Town, for instance, they're already paying less compared to Johannesburg for electricity. And that is what we want to bring as the Democratic Alliance to the city of Johannesburg.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I'm starting with you. Don't be surprised that I'm asking your questions now, directing them to the doctor, is because she will be leaving. The others will remain, will have more time with them. So that is why you see that I'm just focused on her. What is coming here, many people are going, Dr. PHALATSE, did DA condemn the gross human rights violations that were happening or that are happening to churches? Do they condemn that, or are they silent when churches are being mistreated? As Bishop has already spoken about it, many people are writing about that. It's just flowing here, the injustice that churches are suffering today.
During the lockdown, the Democratic Alliance, as the main opposition nationally, has been fighting for an end to the state of disaster and an end to lockdowns, because of how it has affected not only churches but also business and many organizations at large. The DA has been pushing for a return to normality, that people must be allowed to function as they should. Now, I know about the incident that happened in this church during the lockdown at the hands of law enforcement officers who are supposed to serve and protect the church. And I, for one, I'm serving now as a counselor in the City of Johannesburg. I serve as a PR counselor. And I did get involved with the case, and I did say to you, Pastor, perhaps you are not aware, but I was involved very much so with your case. I received some information, and with the little information I had, I called the late Executive Mayor Jolie D. Matongo. At the time of the incident, he was not yet mayor, he was the MMC for finance. But he was somebody that I had access to in the governing coalition in the city right now. And I was able to call him and say, have you seen this? And I sent him the video footage, and I sent him what information I had at the time. And I said, please look into this, and please reach out to the church, and please make sure that this injustice is reversed. However, I also said to him, I have requested a report from the church, an incident report. As soon as I get it, I will forward it to you so that you can have the right information on actually what happened. We know that media sometimes distorts facts, and we know that we cannot rely on media for information on what actually happened. So it was important to get the report from the church. Unfortunately, there was a breakdown in communication because I was liaising through somebody else, and the report never reached my hands. And of course, I did not know why it didn't reach my hands. I thought perhaps the church received help elsewhere, but that is where I got stuck, because I never got hold of the information directly from the church as to what happened. And the then MMC was waiting also for that report, and he was quite keen to take the case forward. So it may look to the church as though we did not care. It may look like we were silent. But in our political space, it's so important to, number one, get your facts right, because we work in a very sensitive space. You've seen how things get distorted. Information flow is so important, and it's important that you have the right information. And if you don't have the right information, you cannot even get up and speak, because you may be found wanting at the end. And that is why, for me, the first step was to say, let's get the facts from the church. We were not there. Yes, we saw the video, but we didn't see the whole incident from beginning to end. Let's get the report from the church so that we know exactly what happened and that we're able to take it forward. The thing is that we cannot force help on people if they don't seem to want it. And I know now that it was not your fault. I know that the intermediary did not make the report available to me. But at the time when it was not forthcoming, my thinking is it means that, you know, they probably received the help that they need. Maybe they are sorted, or maybe they decided to go through a different avenue to get into the city council. But myself personally, that was my involvement, and I did show the Dr. Prof the WhatsApp trail of those messages and the videos that are sent through to the city during that time. That is what happened.
Okay, thank you. Another question that I see here coming up is that Dr. PHALATSE, during the lockdowns, these lockdowns, when churches were getting discriminated against, DA was fighting for everyone, vocal everywhere on media, going to courts, but they were not ahead talking for the churches. What is your response to that? What can you say about that?
So the Democratic Alliance, one of the things I said, one of our values is diversity. Diversity of everything, race, religion, culture, even sexual orientation. We're a very diverse party, and probably the most diverse in this country. And so a lot of times when we approach issues, we may not mention by name this, that, and the other. But in our approach, when we said put an end to lockdowns and allow people to go back to normality, that obviously also included churches, even though we may not have been explicit to say churches, mosques, synagogues, and so on and so forth. But in that proclamation, even today, the party leader, John Steenhuisen, continues every single time with every family meeting that the president will call. He will always say, please put an end to this state of disaster, put an end to these lockdowns, allow people to go back to normal life. And we have been the loudest voice in this nation asking for an end to the state of disaster.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Bishop. Any question for the doctor before she leaves?
Yes, actually, I've got a number of questions. It is just unfortunate that she's going to leave.
Yes, am I right?
It cannot be correct to say DA, it's the party that, cares. We always say people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So DA is caring for the whites, not for the black community. I'll give you a direct example. Ask Jordan. Jordan, it's your candidate is in Alberton. We had a situation in Palm Ridge whereby a Christian family, a family of 5 with 3 minors, they did not have a shelter where they can lay their heads. It was just, a situation that is so challenging. I invited both ANC. I invited DA. All that DA was to offer was to say to the men, we can assist you with the typing of a CV so that you can get a job. The last thing they did was for Jordan. He went back to Alberton, and then all he could assist was to contact me to say, I must arrange a truck. They've got an old mattress that they want to give to that family. Just a useless, unspeakable thing. Obviously, because they don't know poverty. They are saving the whites. They only use you black people to be the center of attraction. That's all. I spoke and I was in your WhatsApp group for Israel until they even deleted me and sent me messages that I speak like EFF. Though I told them, I'm not EFF, I'm not saving, I'm saving the body of Christ. Right now we've got the Mall of the South last week on Tuesday. They approached a black man and say, you have been standing in front of Telkom shop for a long time before Telkom can open, and you are a suspect. We suspect you. They send the securities. And the only party that have stood and spoke about that is ANC. DA never get involved. Nevertheless, it cannot also be correct to say you are the party that is colorless. That cannot be. As we are speaking now, you can't say you were willing to assist, but you didn't want to force your assistance to people who seem to be not in need of help. The church, an institution, the community. You're waiting for them to come and knock in your office and say, we need your help. You telling me about you send the emails, there was a middleman. Why should you need a middleman when I see me being brutally abused, my rights being infringed? But you telling me of the emails. Does the email assist? You cannot tell me that the incident that happened here on the 28th of February, until now, we are actually in November. You're still waiting for the same victimized people to compile a report for you. What report for? What formality when there is an emergency? We are not going to vote for the party that fold the arms and say, we are waiting for you to come to our office and show us your desperation. Otherwise, we are not going to force our assistant. Of course, because this very same DA It is the one that is sending the red ants even to evict our people. So this cannot be correct. We have to put the things straight. Unless DA change the mentality and how they perceive black people, we as the black community and black religious Christians, we don't see any assistance from your side. You gave us an example of Cape Town. Cape Town is a disaster. It's serving the white minority, not the black community. You know that. So the examples you are giving us, you just continue to demonstrate that at the moment we need to pray for DA to repent and look at the people in the same view. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So at the moment, I am not convinced that DA has anything in its manifesto to protect the church, especially as long as you are still telling us as you are sitting here that you didn't want to force your assistance to the church. You wanted the church to show its desperation. We're not talking about this church only. We're talking about the incident which had happened also in Val. I think it's where you also ruling. In Sebokeng, people were brutalized, were attacked by police. You never even come in public. Why did your leader, John, continue to fight for the liquor association, but never pronounce the church? Like you are saying, no, maybe he didn't pronounce the church or the whatever synagogue, whatever. But he managed to pronounce for the cigarette. He managed to pronounce for the liquor. Why not the church? The 85% of the citizens you don't care about. I am not convinced. You don't have anything for the church. You are empty at the moment. Nothing.
Let us give the doctor a chance to respond. I see that it's getting very hot. It's very, very hot, and I can see that even comments on Facebook and on YouTube are just very, very hot. It's chilly, sir. Chilly. Okay, doctor, over to you.
Thank you, Pastor. My time is really up, so I'm going to wrap up and I'm going to do my best to respond. It's not fair to say that I waited for the church to show its desperation. That's putting words in my mouth. I never said that. I said, and we work with many constituents, when a person is in need of help, we are many. In the city council, there's 270 seats. Now, if I'm reaching out, and there are protocols. So I belong to the church as well. I cannot just come and knock on Pastor Mukuba's door. I respect her that much and I honor her. And I honor the protocols of the house. Now, the agency that I was working through was working directly with Pastor Mukuba. Pastor Mukuba knows who I'm talking about. This is an agency that was contracted by the church to deal with this matter. And I worked directly with them. So I served the church through that agency. And I made my calls in front of them. I phoned the late Mayor Matongo in front of them. I gave them what information they made available to me. And I made a commitment that as soon as I have the report, I will forward it. When the report did not come, as I said, the case continued. And I am aware that there are other people that got involved. When you are in a situation, an MPHO is coming and this one is coming and this one is coming, it can sometimes be overwhelming. When you have received help from this one and there is a way forward, you move and the rest of us, we support from behind. And that is what happened. It is not fair to say that I was waiting for the church to show its desperation. That was never my attitude. And I do feel, Bishop, you're putting words in my mouth, and that is completely unfair. Now, in terms of what happened during the lockdown, I'm a ward councillor, I'm a PR councillor in Ward 67. Ward 67 in the city is Yeoville, a bit of Berea, a little bit of Parktown, a bit of Houghton. We fed many people during the lockdown. You know that SASA disappointed people. They said people must apply for grants, and people were turned back. People were told they're employed when they are unemployed. I worked with churches that raised money to buy bulk food to give to people who were in need. I also had churches approach me that had people who were in need. And I had almost a feeding scheme during that time that I was running in the ward with the faith-based organization. It was a partnership. The churches that had were giving. The churches that needed were bringing people to come and receive assistance. And this was happening under the Democratic Alliance. The DA in Johannesburg partnered with the Order of St. John, which is an NGO, and across the city, we also continued to give out food to those who were in need. This is alongside the failed government program where people were told, go onto the SASA website or phone, and they were left hanging most of the time. And the Democratic Alliance did not just fold its arms and say, government is taking care of people. We sought other avenues to serve people, and we served people. Perhaps we did not do it loudly, and I was conscious, because you need to remember as well that the type of poverty that we saw during lockdown was a different type of poverty, and Pastor Mukuba alluded to that. People who were used to working before, who were used to being independent, suddenly were in need of food. We were very conscious to not even take photographs, because those people were not ready to be put on our online platforms or whatever other platforms for the world to see that they are in need. They're still in shock. They're still dealing with the fact that they've lost their job and that suddenly they are begging for food. It's a difficult place to be, and you want to protect them. You want to protect their integrity, their dignity. And so we did not publicize all the things I'm telling you now. They happened, but they were not publicized, because it wasn't for show that we did it. We did it so that people could be fed. And I really apologize for the anecdotal incidents that you speak about in the East Rand and in the Val. I don't have information around what happened, and it's something I'm willing to look into if you feel that Democratic Alliance Public Reps did not represent what the party stands for. But I can tell you, in the city of Johannesburg, we served, and we served all people. We even served foreign nationals. In Yeoville, it's a hub of foreign nationals, and we did not care where you are from. We didn't ask you for your South African ID. If you did not have food, we fed you, and we worked a lot with the church. And I will say that the food that I gave out was mostly raised by church folk, and there were a lot of church folk that also came to receive food during that time. I unfortunately have to run, as I have already requested. Thank you so much for your indulgence, and for having me here.
Thank you for coming. And
due respect, can, before she leave, just two questions very quickly.
let us allow the doctor to leave, and further questions we can direct to you so that you can respond, because I can see that even other people are writing quite a lot of things. They need responses. Some of them you can read in your own spare time. I know that you are busy. And thank you very much.
Thank you, and we welcome those questions, so I'm looking forward to receiving them. Thank you so much for having me, and all the best for the rest of the debate.
Okay, bye-bye. All right. Yep. Bishop, we can send the further questions that we have, because they are important, of course. We would want to know, when it is said, vote for us, what is it that is in it for us? When you vote for yourself. You vote for yourself. That is why it's very, very important to vote. And that is why we are having this discussion, so that the political representatives can tell us what is it that is in it for us. What is it that we are going to get? Because the leaders that we elect are supposed to take care of our needs. They are representatives. So we want to hear what is it that they are going to do for us. And Mr. Manganyi, I think it will be only fair if I start with you now. The doctor is gone, and I believe that you guys have got time to talk to the people. All right, Mr. Manganyi, let us hear from you. Mr. Manganyi is from the ANC.
No, thanks very much, Pastor, and good evening to the panelists, including Bishop MASHASHANE. Probably it might be important to also greet the viewers and the members of the church. Firstly, let me reiterate, as I have indicated before, just to address some of the issues that Bishop MASHASHANE have raised as a concern. The ANC, when it was formed in 1912, it was formed in a church by reverends, traditional leaders, and those who were intelligentsia during that particular time, to unite black people, in particular Africans. So if the ANC was to conduct itself in the manner in which is anti-church or anti-religious formations, it will mean the ANC is acting against its founding foundations. We will be breaking the same church that we were formed from. And it means that we will never have a house when it rains. Then we will not have a shelter. The church has played a very critical role even during the struggle of liberation. So there is no way the ANC can forget the church. That is why, as the African National Congress, we do not have faith-based organization as a by the way. We work with churches even in the structures of the ANC. One of the critical positions in all structures of the ANC, starting from a branch to national, it's a position that has to deal with faith-based organization. Currently in the city, in the Greater Johannesburg region, we have got Mamthandi Mdlaluse, who's responsible for faith-based organization. Before her, it was the current speaker, Nonqeba Mulwele, who has been responsible for the faith-based organization. In fact, even the former mayor, the late Mayor Makhubo, before he passed away, he even established officially a faith-based organization of the City of Johannesburg, so that religious leaders who might not want to associate directly with the ANC can also have the government-based faith-based organization, which is led by Bishop Tebe, who has been very actively involved even on the issues that affect this church. It's on the basis of those structures that the ANC have established. Let me also speak on the issues of the conduct of the JMPD. I think, Pastor, even the last time when I was here, the unfortunate part is that I was here to a debate similar to this one, and as a result, it denied us a good opportunity to understand the root cause of the challenges which this church is facing. And as I have committed when I was here, we have managed to come here to listen to the church. We didn't do like the DA did, expecting that some middle person will come and do a report for them. We came here to the church, not without even the church congregation being in the church, just to meet with the pastor, just to listen to her and understand what are the problems that led to this abuse of members of the church. In fact, worst of all, herself as the leader of the church. And we have managed to get to the core of the kind of the challenges in which the church has been put into. And that in itself must demonstrate that the African National Congress and its leaders, let me take the mask a little bit, is disturbing me.
Asking, why do you have your mask on now?
No, it's because of
Protocol, yes.
It's because of the respect of the protocol, and there's no enough social distancing here. So I had to keep the mask on, but it's disturbing me. So we had to come here, Pastor. You know, the provincial chair of the ANC, who's the premier, spent about 5 hours here in the church. You have to understand the issues, because he got enough of being told by this and this is what is happening in the church. And I can tell you, even myself, who have always been briefed about the issues of the church, after that 5 hours meeting, I had a different perspective. And even my attitude on how we must address issues of this church, it's very different, and I'm aware that the chairperson of the ANC have spoken with the mayor to ensure that the mayor intervenes to deal with these issues of the church. So these issues of JMPD are just, symptoms of a bigger problem that was not handled properly by the city of Johannesburg, and that we must admit. And we must be able to come back and say, Pastor, this is how we think. This matter must be addressed properly. And Pastor, we are not going to come here before the 1st of November, because we were not doing this for the elections. We are doing this because the ANC must remain an organization that leads society, irrespective of whether this person is a member of the ANC or vote for the ANC. So we are still going to come back here, even after the 1st of November, irrespective of the outcomes of the elections, to ensure that we assist the church so that it can be disabused from the abuse that it has suffered all these years, including when it had to go out by itself without any assistance to go and build another church. When it built this church, it was given that permission by the City of Johannesburg to invest the resources that are here. And the City of Johannesburg must take some level of responsibilities in ensuring that the church is compensated for whatever infrastructure that is here. So I'm saying that after that meeting, my attitude, Pastor, is very different, and we are going to make sure that justice is done to the church. Let me leave that issue and move to the next issue. So the issue of COVID-19, it was for the first time the world have met with that kind of a pandemic. And South Africa as a country, it was also managing the spread of the pandemic, learning from other countries, because we do not have experience ourselves. And some of these regulations, Bishop, definitely they might look to have been unfair to the church. But I want to assure you and all other religious leaders and churches in the country that it was never with an intention to punish the church or to marginalize the church, but it was on the basis of our lack of experience. In fact, you always give this example, even yourself, Bishop. The first experience that we had with the church and COVID was the Bloemfontein one, which led to a number of people getting infected. And unfortunately, that was a bad experience, of which it will be unfair to always make reference to that experience, because there are many other experiences where many people got infected because of, political gatherings. People got infected because of, people gathering in different areas than the church itself. And as a result, I am convinced that if we were to face a similar problem like COVID anytime from now in our lifetime, I'm convinced that we will treat the situation differently from how we have treated it, because we will be acting with experience. Unfortunately also, there might be churches which were complying. Like I know this church, based on the reports that we have got, it was complying, but there were other churches which unfortunately were taking an advantage of our people, and they were not complying and putting the risk of many lives at risk, and those are some of the experiences which you find that you make reference to them, and even those who comply, they get to suffer the consequences of those who do not comply. But I'm convinced that if we were to face a similar problem, we will definitely treat it differently. We will not treat it in the same way. I can assure you that in Johannesburg, especially Gauteng Bishop MASHASHANE, there will not be any councillor of the ANC who have been dealing with the allocation and distribution of food parcels, because the ANC in the province took a decision that all councillors of the ANC must allow officials to distribute food parcels to different communities. And any councillor that might have been involved in such, they will have done that underground, not in public, not in our watch, because we have structures of the ANC all over the province, each and every ward. And they were clear that the ANC is clear in the province. And it was not because we believe there are thieves and they can steal, but it was because of we did not want issue of the COVID-19 to be politicized. We wanted the relief programs of the ANC government to be received by everyone, irrespective of their religion, their creed, their race, and also their political affiliations. Let me also make this reflection. In South Africa, we have about 18 million people in South Africa who are recipients of social grants. During the COVID relief the COVID relief grant have increased that number to about 24 million. So, as I'm talking to you now, there are a number of South Africans of about 24 million who have benefited from the relief programs of the government with an attempt to assist our people, given the fact that they couldn't go to work, they couldn't have an income, so, and we realized, and if you remember, the issues of 350, it came after when we realized that the issue of food parcels is not necessarily working. It's difficult to reach everyone, it's difficult even to manage. So it's best if you can give the little that you were using to buy food parcel to each and every person, so that they can find a way to utilize it in a better way to assist them. And I can tell you that there are many people out there who even indicate how they have benefited out of this kind of reliefs. But so there are many other issues that we are dealing with in our manifesto. Firstly, the issue of electricity. We are not talking about something that we are planning to do. You will know that the ANC government in the city of Joburg, working with our GLU partners, already currently the mayor who doesn't even have a month in office, have signed a power purchase agreement with Kevin privately owned power station to boost the city with more power, so that we can limit issues of the load shedding in the city of Johannesburg. And those engagements are still happening between Eskom and the city to say that, can you allow at least when you deal with level 1 and level 2 not to go through load shedding, because at least we have got some additional power that we have purchased from the privately owned Kevin. We are currently addressing the challenges faced by especially people of Soweto, Orange Farm, and your Ivory Park, especially areas that are supplied by Eskom. Because many of these areas, when we planned the electricity supply to families, we planned it for specific households per those particular areas. Many other people, they put people as the back room dwellers who assist them obviously to get an income and assist them to uplift their living. Some of the people, they do illegal connections, they were not planned, and as a result, the load in which the substations get, they end up even burning those substations transformers, which are supposed to supply their electricity. Some of them, they steal the transformers, they steal even the cables, and as a result, we are talking here now, Pastor, some of the residents of Johannesburg, they can't even listen to this debate because they can't have access to proper network, they don't have electricity to watch on TV, and also to can be able to watch online. At least there are those that we are providing them free Wi-Fi, they are able to log on and watch through the free Wi-Fi, and they have electricity. So those who cannot access, we have already started a process. Current, and not because of his election, that process in fact started before 2016. Unfortunately, the same DA government, they were very clear, working under the leadership of Mashaba, who's currently leading Action SA, to say that they are not going to take the debt from ESCOM of the people of Soweto on the basis that, obviously, because they don't care about the poor and the poorest. If the debt was in Sandton or in other urban areas where white dominated, the DA will have intervened. So the ANC have intervened. When we came back in 2019, we continued engaging ESCOM. We have now signed a memorandum of understanding with ESCOM to come up with a process to intervene and take over the ESCOM supplied areas, because where city power supplies electricity, you will never get people not having electricity for that period of time like people are experiencing today. So we're saying that we are going to take over because we understand the plight of the people better in the local government, and city power is capable to can be able to do so. So, Pastor, we have our manifesto. There are a number of issues that we are raising in the manifesto. If times allows, I will continue to highlight those issues. And I can tell you the issue of ESP that Dr. MPHO was talking about. It's a program that was introduced by the ANC government. The expanded social packages that we assist, the poor families that cannot afford the municipal rates, to pay the city services. It is a program that we have introduced. We have introduced even, to give certain free water, which the DA, when took over, they discontinued that. We have reinstated it after we took over in 2019, because we care and we knew it meant a lot to the poor of the poorest. So, I can speak for the whole night, because the ANC has been doing a lot. As much as we must admit that there are those areas that we must improve, we must do our things better and ensure that we transform the lives of the people and the resident of Johannesburg. Thanks very much, Pastor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Manganyi. We are definitely going to come back to what he has spoken about, all the issues that he has mentioned, because I can see that you are sending your comments, you are sending your questions that are directed to Mr. Manganyi, that are directed to the ANC. And now I'm going to move on and give time to Bishop Adams of ACDP, and from there to Mr. MAGWENTSHU of ATM. And the way we are going to do it, we are going to listen to their brief presentations, and after that, they are going to deal with your questions, with your comments. Bishop, over to you.
Thank you so much, Pastor. I greet you in the name of Jesus. I also greet all the viewers and the listeners that are on different platforms tonight in the mighty name of Jesus. I greet my fellow bishop, my colleague, in the name of Jesus, and my panelist. Fellow panelist, Dr. MPHO has left. It's an honor for us to be present here tonight, representing the African Christian Democratic Party. I think let me start off by saying, prior to 1994, the church was an integral part of the liberation of the South African people and this country. We fought side by side. There was no race at that time. My colleague SASAVONA speaks about, and the ANC has a policy which they call Africans in general and blacks in particular. Let me mention that before then, that was not applicable, because we fought in the trenches together. In the UDF, United Democratic Front, we were all soldiers fighting for the liberation of South Africa. In the 1980s, we led riots and marches to destabilize the apartheid system. And the church was at the forefront, fighting for the liberation of South Africa. In 1994, we received our liberation, praise be to God. We became a united South Africa. And we must admit, yes, the ANC were forerunners in liberating the country, and so was other political parties, but also there were other formations that was also in the trenches fighting to liberate South Africa. But you see, Pastor Makubu, the challenge came after 1994 when the church as a whole sponsored the responsibility away from them and gave it to government to say, fix the country. And the church was not involved. It's as if the church took a back seat, as it were, to say, we have done our job, let's leave it over to the government now to fix everything. It was our then President, may his soul rest in peace, Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, who said these words prophetically, Bishop. He said, we can't just build and rebuild South Africa through the RDP program. He said we must run parallel with a program called the Reconstruction and Development of the Soul, the RDP of the soul. He said you can't just build libraries and fix roads and build houses and fix the infrastructures and all the stuff when you are leaving the people behind in reconstruction and development of the soul. It was then where the church was supposed to be the conduit, as it were, to take that responsibility to reconstruct and develop the soul. In fact, the quagmire, the decay of morality, where we find ourselves currently, being an 85% Christian church and Christians in the country, we have to take responsibility that we did not fill our responsibility as a church to begin to deal with the denigration of morals and values in society. We left it to government, and this is the result we are sitting with. So when it comes to the church taking responsibility, the pastors, the bishops, the fivefold ministry took a back seat and allowed governments to choose their own leaders. In fact, the church themselves voted these leaders into power. Unrighteous leaders, leaders who were corrupt, leaders who did not know God, who didn't love people, leaders. And Proverbs 29 verse 2, Pastor Makuba says, if the unrighteous rule, the people hurt and they are paining. But if the righteous rule, the people are happy. And for 27 years, Bishop, 27 years, our people keep on voting the same people into power. And here we sit today. Now we come and we say that the church itself didn't take its stance. Let me say in defense of the ACDP, I believe in POE's proof of evidence. I don't do anything without taking photos and without having video recordings. There is proof, Bishop, where the ACDP was present in the vow. We were present in various brutalities of this police during COVID-19, where we stood up and spoke against the brutality that our pastor Makuba had to go through. We felt we want to strongly condemn it. The other thing I want to mention here today, when you look at the footage, the JMPD police there is black males and females executing that brutality against our own people. Those are our mothers and our fathers and our brothers and our sisters. Those are not foreign police. This is our people from our communities that had the gall and the guts to come into the church, a sacred place, and do what they do and brutally attack a woman of God and brutally attack pastors. Put them in vans. It can't be. We want to strongly condemn that, and we will continue to strongly condemn it. We want to ask, at the moment the ANC is in a GLU with other parties, we want to ask what happened to those JMPD police officers. What actions have been taken punitive measures, suspensions of firing has been done by them to make sure that these perpetrators will not continue to do what they're doing with our people. So during COVID, the ACDP was absolutely present. I serve on the provincial legislature, Pastor Makuba. I am an MPL. We won a seat in 2019. It was in those meetings when COVID just came where we fought about the food parcels, Bishop, where the food parcels was selectively given to certain people. Up to today, beloveds, there are people who still didn't get a food parcel. Up to today, there are people who still don't have 350. They can't register. Up to today, people are still struggling. So COVID came and it sort of magnified the inequalities between the haves and the have-nots. And I must be honest, as a pastor for 35 years, I believe it is the church that suffered the most during this COVID pandemic. It is the church itself with its people that found themselves at the end of the line. It is the church that always, because there's always principalities in municipalities. There's principalities in municipalities because that's where the church is always targeted. I am a victim of that as a pastor. Not because I'm now serving in legislature. I am a victim where the draconian laws and bylaws against the church is too hard to come by. They treat it like we are businesses. And it is wrong what is happening in South Africa, where the church must find themselves as the victims of society. Let me say this, one of our manifesto points, which I believe we will introduce, and it was my manifesto point in 2019, and it's my manifesto point even today. There are churches, Pastor Makubu, in every community. The church is the most represented in every community. I say to the leadership today, and I say this is what must happen. Social development cannot be a social development department unless they connect, have cohesion, and partner with the church. All the programs that they have, whether it be food security, drug abuse, whether they have GBV, whether they have trafficking of children, whether they have the green doors, every social ill, whether it be drugs. I'm seeing how, let me just go back to the footage, how they drag our people. They won't drag drug lords like that. They won't go to their houses and shoot them with rubber bullets, but they come into the house of God. So I'm saying what needs to happen is that the social development programs must find habitation and expression in the churches. It's in the church where you must find the social development programs must be expressed and manifested. In every church, in every community, a program must be there. And that must assist, because it's in the church where the people come for help. It's in the church where the people feel that they want to express their faith, but it's the church that says, God bless you, and we can't assist them. Now I want to say this. I came into politics not because I'm a politician. I'm still a servant of God called. I will never declare myself a politician because I'm not a politician. I'm a servant of God. I'm an apostolos, meaning I'm a sent one into politics. Why? Because I want to bring the change. Because we have vision but no provision. And the provision is being eaten. The provision is being corrupted. The provision is finding itself in the wrong pockets. The provision is finding itself going to the wrong people. So when we have this great visions, but we have no provision, it is important, like Joseph, like Moses, like Nehemiah, like Esther, like Deborah. They all went into politics. I would actually encourage more servants and handmaidens of God to go into politics. Not because you want to be a politician, but to go there and show the integrity, to show the values, to show the moral standing, to show Christ-likeness, to be able not to go in there and become change and become what people want you to be. So for me, the critical thing here is that I believe a pastor can be the best counselor. Pastors should be counselors in communities because they understand the pain of the people. They understand the lack of the people. They understand. The pastor is the ambulance. The pastor is the dentist. The pastor is the mortuary. The pastor is the lawyer. The pastor is the social worker. The pastor is everything. He's everything to all people. And if the pastors, the leaders can stand up and say, we are going to get involved. Let us stop. Let other people make decisions for us as the church. God sent his servants and handmaidens into the administration of Pharaoh to go and bring about the fundamental change that we are looking for. So as the church, we must not allow them to always dictate over us. The thing I want to say when it comes to land for church, it is a misnomer that you find that the church must beg for land. The church must beg for leases. The church cannot build their buildings. The church cannot even extend their buildings. The bureaucracy is so massive. But you see malls going up everywhere, and it's easy for them to do it. The church doesn't have the money. So the church always find themselves at the wrong end of the stick. I believe now you need a government, you need an administration that will not be sympathetic to the church, but will have a heart for the people. Because yes, the most of the people are in the church. So we can't continue to allow people to make decisions on behalf of the church. Because you have people that who deliberately, the officials, deliberately do not assist the body of Christ. So I want to say in closing, for me, when it comes to service delivery is key. Because, and people want to ask the question, when you are in the church, they feel that you are on a different island. But the church people also use electricity. They also need sewage. They need their dirt to be picked up. It is their lights that must burn. And you cannot separate the church and their pastors from the rest of society. So I'm saying that I have a program which I will introduce, which is called the 7-11 program. The 7-11 program, Bishop says, from 7 in the morning to 11 in the morning, there must be no meetings. No more meetings. Meetings can happen after 11 o'clock. From 7 to 11, there must be every official, the executive, the CFO, CEOs, the administration, the officialdom must be on the ground working to reel in the deficit of service delivery. Go to where the people are. At the moment, sir, the president is on the ground. The deputy president is on the ground. The ministers are on the ground. Everybody is going door to door. After the election, they are all gone because they got the votes. We are saying that what they are doing now must continue because service delivery is in a bad state, not only in the city of Johannesburg, but everywhere. So with the 7-11 program, all officials must go and look at the illegal connections. They mustn't hear about it. They must be there. City power must be there. The MMCs must be there. And let me say this, it boggles my mind where you find an MMC of health driving past a burst pipe and not calling his or her colleague who's the MMC of infrastructure to tell them there's a burst pipe at Twala and Johnson Street. They want the people, the community to phone into a control center, a call center, and then they must get reference numbers, and it takes long and they close the calls. Why don't we as the officialdom, why don't we as the executive, why don't we as the leaders begin to call each other with regards to the robots that is out, with regards to the sewage that is running? Why do we drive past it? So I want to change the whole methodology of service delivery, that the whole administration of the city of Johannesburg must be hands-on with the 7-11 program. I will continue, but that is what we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you
Bishop.
very much, Bishop. So you are promising the people that if you become the mayor of the city of Johannesburg, we are going to see officials everywhere working. It won't be us calling in and waiting and waiting. Yes. Calling in and saying that we have got potholes that are like taking 6 months to be fixed, or taking years up until the time of elections.
They must be there seeing it. They must be there calling JRA.
Okay, that is the bishop for you. And now we are just going to pass. Blessed viewer, stay tuned, and you can start sending your WhatsApp messages to the number appearing on the screen, and get ready with your questions, because this program is for us all. We want you to be able to raise your concerns to the political representatives who are saying we need your votes, or rather we want to serve you. We want to serve you, because it is about servanthood. After all, it is about servanthood. It's not just about vote for us. When you are voted for, what is it that you are going to be doing? And I must say that with the things that you are saying here, we're going to call you back here and we're going to play the videos to say this is what you told us on such and such a date. And we are not playing, of course, because I mean we are servants of God and Bishop MASHASHANE. As servants of God, we are tasked by God to be shepherds over the people. So this is serious business for us to look after the people of God. Mr. MAGWENTSHU, it is your time now.
Thanks, Pastor. I can say that it's really getting hotter in here. But before I respond to the issues that have been raised by the Bishop, our first one, I send my special greetings to you, women of God, Pastor Mukhuba, greetings to the church at large, and greetings to everyone. As the African Transformation Movement, we are entirely grateful for being here in this discussion, because it provides us with an opportunity to actually unpack what it is that will be offering the church and offering the citizens of Johannesburg. Having said that, I also want to appreciate the special kind of leadership that you have shown, women of God, by being able to call various political parties under one roof. This is definitely not a child's play, and it's something that can only be done by a person that is God-sent. Like it happened during the times of Noah, when Noah was actually asked to assemble various animals under one roof. We really appreciate that kind of leadership. You know, the 1st of November, what I can say to the church is that it reminds me of what happened in the book of John, chapter 21. It tells me that God wants to intervene in our situation. In John 21, Jesus saw fishermen, that the disciples were fishing, and they could not get anything. And then he said to them, change the net, change the site. And we are here to say to the church must change the votes. It must change the site to which it's casting its votes. The 1st of November gives the church an opportunity to decide on who should govern them for the next 5 years. The church should decide if they want to be governed by the very same people that have been persecuting the church, the very same people that continue to unashamedly prosecute the church, the very same people that have taken the woman of God to court, the very same people that came in here with their agencies, carrying guns to a place of worship. Is that the kind of leadership that the church wants? Is that the kind of government that the church wants? Definitely no. Definitely no. To respond to you, Bishop, when it comes to the African Transformation Movement, the African Transformation Movement is a faith-based organization. We've got more than 85% of our members being Christians. And as a result, our president, in his first speech in Parliament, he asked President Ramaphosa to say, President Ramaphosa, you've seen the Chief Justice praying. So that is an indication to you to put God first in your governance. That is what we said first as the ATM. Again, as the ATM, when the COVID started, we're the first organization to stand up and say church leaders should be afforded the opportunity, or they should be acknowledged or regarded as essential workers. It is out there in the media. It's out there. We even issued out statements to that effect to say we want church leaders to be essential workers because their duty is that of essential workers. As the ATM, I'm responding to you, Bishop. As the ATM, were the first people that took the government to court because of closure of churches. It is there. If you go to the Gauteng High Court, you'll find our papers there. We filed papers there, fighting these injustices that the church was experiencing. So what I'm trying to say is that there is something that we as ATM are doing for the church. As the ATM, we're the first organization or the first political party to issue out a statement when Pastor Mukhuba was arrested. And we were unapologetic about that. We've been supporting her. We've even gone to court to show our support to her. And all of this we're not doing because it's time for the elections. We've been standing for the church even before that. So, church people, when they vote for ATM, they know that they are voting for them. Because even in our constitution, our National Executive Committee receives guidance from spiritual fathers. They receive guidance from spiritual fathers and also traditional leaders. That is how much we value the spiritual or religious leaders. In our manifesto just now, one of the pillars is actually, we've got 5 pillars and 2 enablers. One of the enablers is saying the religious leaders should be given or afforded the opportunity to lead the society. Because if the religious leaders and traditional leaders are not being recognized, there is nothing that we can be able to achieve in South Africa, because these are the people that are in touch with the realities of our people. These are the people that lead millions and millions of our people. Our country is 85% Christians. And those Christians are being led by these religious leaders. When those people are hungry, they come to those religious leaders. When those people have got issues, they come to those leaders. So these leaders, they understand. They have a perfect understanding of the needs of the people. That is why we regard them in high esteem. Even before we launched our own manifesto, we had to go around to some of the religious leaders to go and say, please have an input. Please have an input, because we value their input. So what I'm trying to say, Bishop, is that with ATM, we are very genuine when it comes to fighting for the church. Because when we fight for the church, we know that we are fighting for the majority of this country. Then to come to the issue of COVID. You know, COVID is a very interesting topic. You know, we've seen COVID mutating from SARS-2 to Delta. But we've also seen COVID mutating from being a health pandemic to being a political pandemic, where politicians impose unjust and ungodly laws to people. Unjust and ungodly restrictions to people that are taking us back to the years of apartheid. That is what we've seen. We've seen our church leaders being arrested for allegedly breaking the lockdown regulations. But when it's politicians, no, everything is fine. They break them even on live television, but no one is arrested. But the church is being arrested. Our leaders are being arrested. Why? This is a persecution that the church is suffering. The church is under attack from the current government. They might say otherwise, but their action speaks louder. What they are doing to the church is what talks louder. Right now, pastor was arrested here. The church was attacked. What has happened to those JMPT people? Nothing. you see, when it's politicians, it is like that, and no one is arrested. No one is arrested.
You people.
So it's telling us that we are actually in an animal farm where other animals are more equal than the other animals. That is what is happening. And that is what we need to change as the church. We need to stand up and say, no, enough is enough. We cannot be led by these people that are busy persecuting us. It is up to us as the church. I'm saying it is up to us as a church because, you know, in South Africa, the Christians are the majority. And it's very funny that the majority are being led and oppressed by this minority. We fought minority dominion back then, and we must still fight it now, because we can't have a situation where we are being forced or treated unfairly by the current government. When it comes to issues of our manifesto has got 5 pillars and 2 enablers. The very first pillar talks about corruption. As ATM, we view corruption as crime against humanity. And we believe that everyone who does crime should be punished, should receive harsh punishment. And as ATM, we are saying all cases of corruption should be expedited. It should not take more than a month for the case to be resolved, so that the next person can know that, no, you know what, I'm not going to do this. Because he has seen people being arrested. Because the challenge that we're having now is that politicians are corrupt. We know, we hear on the news that they are corrupt. There's evidence, but they never get arrested. And then people do not take the issue of corruption seriously. And the main problem is that the people that suffer the most because of these corrupt activities are the poorest of the poor. The poorest of the poor are the ones that suffer the most because of corrupt activities. Because money that is supposed to go to service delivery goes into somebody's pockets. And we are saying, as the African Transformation, to be able to address that, we want to put in those lifestyle audits for both the political principals and also for the officials. And we're also saying, as the ATM, we need to draw a clear line between political principals and the officials, which is the administrators. Because the moment the lines are blurred, you will find a situation where an administrator who has gone to school, who understands what PFMA means, who understands the principles of Public Finance Management Act, is being instructed by a politician who does not understand PFMA to do something that is corrupt. But because it's a politician, he now has to follow and do that. We need to draw a line so that they both understand their responsibilities and their accountabilities. It is very crucial that we do that. And also the issue of the tendering system. The tendering system, it was a brilliant idea, because the main reason behind the tendering system was to ensure that our black brothers, the previously disadvantaged communities, are able to also compete in the market. They are also able to have to create employment. However, that has opened room for corruption. We're saying that needs to be monitored closely. There has to be strict measures to ensure that there are not corrupt activities that happens there. We are saying when it comes to tendering system, the tendering system should only be for capital projects. All other maintenance and operational projects should not go for tender. Because it's very sad. You know, look for instance now, it was raining today and there was too much traffic. And you know why there's so much traffic? It is because the drainage systems are not working. Because, you know, you must get people for tender to go and clean those drainages. It's a problem. Again, pillar number 2 talks about creation of employment. Right now, unemployment in the country is sitting at 34%. And about 75% for youth only. Which means out of 100, about 75 of the youth is unemployed. That is a situation that we cannot allow to happen. How does ATM then plan to address that? As the African Transformation Movement, we are saying we need to localize our economy. We need to first put a special focus on the local economy by supporting these people so that they are able to compete as well in the competitive market. We also ensure that, you know, it's very sad that when you go around, even if you go to your house, the matches that you use is not made locally. Even the toothpick is not made locally. Are we saying our people cannot do those? Cannot make those? No. The problem is with the government. The government does not want people to be independent. The government wants people that are dependent on it. Because a person that is independent does not vote with his stomach. He votes with his mind. A person that is independent, you cannot buy him with a t-shirt. You cannot buy him with a food parcel because the person is independent. Right now, there's more than 700,000 graduates that are unemployed. It's very sad. It's a very sad situation. And we are saying when those tenders come out, there should be a hybrid system whereby there are quotas to say if you give you this tender, there should then be a quota of livelihood to say you will employ so many people if you get this tender. That should be one of the restrictions. Businesses in the local area should then be incentivized as well to employ the locals. In the interest of time, let me just stop there so that people can be able to ask this.
Very much. Thank you very much, because we need to open the discussion to other people so that they can engage with all of you. And I see that we thought maybe the EFF was going to join Bishop. I think they've stood us up for the second or third time this time. And it was confirmed, and yeah, and we were also waiting for Action SA. But anyway, let us continue. I'm gonna open the lines. You have heard what was said. I'm gonna open the lines now for discussions, for your contributions, for your comments, because we would also like to hear from you. You have heard the representatives of political parties talking to you about what they are going to do should you vote them into office. The question is, are you convinced? Do you still have questions that you want to ask them? Who is it that deserves your vote? And what are the things that you are concerned about? Because it is very important to vote. I still say that staying away from voting is not a solution, because many people say that we are disillusioned, we have lost hope. Who do we vote for? Because really the things that have been happening do not please us. We are not happy, and we are not going to go and vote. When you don't go and vote, then you don't have the right to complain afterwards. You cannot expect other people to take decisions for you. You need to be responsible as a patriotic citizen of the Republic of South Africa. You can call the number on the screen. You can send your WhatsApps on the number on the screen so that we can go on with this discussion. And while we are waiting for you to dial the number on the screen, let me go to the Bishop. And Bishop, as I'm handing over to you, somebody is calling. It means that they've been waiting.
Yeah, I need to take it first.
Hello? Hello?
Greetings, Pastor.
Greetings.
Yes, you speaking to Cheryl. I'm calling from Olivedale. And mine is a statement and a couple of questions to your panelists. May I proceed, Pastor?
Yes, you can proceed.
Okay, greetings to your panelists and that are all there. I'll start here. When we vote for our politicians, we vote them into to the power of politics of representation for the people's will in Parliament, provincial legislature, and municipal council. However, what we have seen after 1994 is that our South African brand of politicians, once voted into power, they no longer represent the people. They represent themselves, their interests, and their party. So we, the people, worry that at least our politicians should be the guardians of the Constitution and the rights of the people in general, without necessarily obsessing about political interests. In the case of constitutionally guaranteed rights of Christians, we seldom hear any mainstream political party standing up to defend these rights. At all levels of power, the ANC government, the national, provincial, and particularly municipal government have strongly advanced policies and a clear agenda to remove Christian practices from society. The examples are too many to mention, such as the removal of Christian holidays from the calendar, the removal of Christian teachings from schools, and lately, the obvious discrimination against religious entities in all COVID-19 protocol levels. In the Johannesburg City Council, led by the ANC, we have seen for more than 10 years the cruel persecution and harassment of Pastor Mkhuba and her church. The persecution culminated into brutal attacks on Pastor Mkhuba and her church on the 28th of February 2021, including the deployment of massive military forces to her church on the 6th of March 2021. So now, these decades-long attacks and the recent one against Pastor Mkhuba and her church are recorded and broadcast on video and social media platforms, sometimes live as they happen. We have just seen part of it now. So how then is it possible that we have not seen politics condemning the ANC-led Johannesburg City Council and its PD for their horrible and evil acts? Are all these parties not sometimes complicit in the ANC agenda to destroy Christianity? Why have all political parties in Parliament, provincial and municipal levels, kept quiet? When the ANC took over, many churches were destroyed by the ANC-led Johannesburg City Council. And we have it on good authority that they have said, I will quote, to stop the mushrooming of Christian churches. So how can the national government be left unaware of all the operations of the 28th of February and the 6th of March 2021? How possible is that? Obviously, to me it's obvious that the ANC leadership in government with its intelligence services were aware and probably gave the order for that operation against Pastor Mkhuba and the church. So why must Christians vote for the ANC when they are busy doing everything in their power to kill and destroy Pastor Mkhuba, her ministry, and the Christian church in general? Now, my question, particularly to the ANC, is why? Why are you trying to kill Pastor Mkhuba through the JMPD in the ANC-led city council? Why are you trying to destroy the church? And when you answer, remember that there is video evidence of all this. We've just seen part of it now. If you choose to conveniently believe the lie that Pastor Mkhuba Church is making noise for grace and her offerings, and then if you do believe that, then why shouldn't the ANC upgrade the 4 friends and the JNPD to vote for it for them instead of Christians who you are so hell-bent on destroying? And lastly, to the other parties, unfortunately, the DA has left, the EFF is not here. So remaining in the panel, the ACDP. Why have you kept quiet in the face of such obvious and blatant attacks against Pastor Mkhuba, the church and Christians in general, by the ANC-led government? And we have not seen you ACDP sharing in pain and suffering of Pastor Mkhuba, her church and Christians in general. Yes, we have seen or even heard you saying something once or twice. And we have also seen Reverend Michelle visiting Pastor Mkhuba once or twice. But for ACDP being a party that is supposed to represent Christians, we have not seen you going to court with Pastor Mkhuba. For that matter, on Friday she's going to court without you. And for Christians, you are representing us Christians, right? And we expect to have seen you strongly condemning this act of brutality against Christians, against Pastor Mkhuba and the church. I will stop there for now. But can we get answers, clear answers on all these questions? Thank you.
Okay, if I can summarize that, what I've heard, I'm hearing about defending the Constitution. From that, from what you have said, defending the Constitution, constitutional rights of citizens, and parties, political parties in parliament, provincial government and local government being not so vocal about defending Christian values like the teaching of religious education, which was removed from schools. I heard you right. And the removal of some of the holidays from the calendar.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the brutalization of the church. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much and bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay. I've missed other calls because I said that I've missed another one. I don't think we're gonna have yeah, time for you to. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, you can switch off your TV.
Good evening, Pastor. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
You're speaking to Takarani here. Good evening to you and your guest there. Yeah, I can hear, I can feel that it is hot in the studio there.
Yes, it is.
I believe even the doctor there had to run away because it was so hot. Maybe I'll direct my questions mainly to the ANC because the gentleman there, Mr. MANGANYI, has been sitting in that chair before, and he made promises. And I don't know, Pastor, I don't know if all the ANC members are taught that line, because I've heard that line so many times. The line of saying the ANC was formed in 1912 inside a church. But what are you really doing to the church now? Is it still the same ANC that was formed inside the church? Mr. MANGANYI, maybe next time you must think twice before using that line, because now you are the one who's brutalizing the church that we have formed. The very same ANC, I've seen the posters, the very same ANC, Mr. MANGANYI, is saying in his election poster that we want to build better communities together with the people. But the reality, Mr. MANGANYI, is that the only community that has benefited so far since 1994, let us be truthful, is the ANC through corruption. And now you go and preach that you want to build better communities. And really, the business communities, all the communities you have destroyed through your policies, Mr. Mangani. And now, really, you want people to come and vote for you. Maybe tonight, Mr. Mangani, you are inside the church and the pastor is there and the bishops are there. Maybe the ANC should just repent and be truthful and you know, God is faithful, He forgives. If you can just repent and then tell the truth that no, we have really messed up South Africa, and then maybe people will understand. But you must first tell the truth, because South Africa now is in mess because of the ANC. So really now, I'm really disappointed, Mr. Mangani, because you have been there before and you have been shown the footages. By now, in fact, I was listening very carefully when you were narrating the story. You know all the facts now, but what is it that you have done? The ANC is so arrogant because JMPD, you cannot come and tell us it is not the ANC. JMPD is under your administration, Mr. Mangani. What is it that you have done ever since you came there? And the pastor has told you the story, and it's everywhere. Because now, the arrogance that we see, Mr. Mangani, is that I don't know whether your ANC is still using that motto of his saying they will rule until Jesus Christ comes back, because you can see that the abuse that you are abusing the nation, but you still go to people and say, vote for us. There is that arrogance of saying, no, even though we are doing all these things, you are still going to vote for us no matter what. So maybe when you respond, Mr. Mangani, you will just tell us, ever since you were there before, what is it that you have done? What is it that you have done for the church? And then even maybe, I believe, in fact, that the Honorable President is aware of this incident, but I've never heard, in fact, I've never really heard any ANC member speaking in public, condemning the brutality. And maybe in closing, Pastor, I just want to find out that does it really make sense that you, pastor, and the church congregants were shot there, and then again you are still the one who's arrested, and for the 9th time you are still going to appear in court, and all the evidence. The good thing is that thing was live. All the evidence is there, and Mr. Mangani is aware of all the evidence. Why have you ever called JMPD to say come and account? We are not saying, because I know your answer will be saying, no, we don't want to interfere. We're not saying interfere. It's under your administration. Call them and ask them what happened. Then they must tell you, and then you compare with the evidence that is there. Yeah, so really, Pastor, as the other gentleman there was saying, again, this thing of COVID now has turned into a political pandemic. I'm just wrapping up now, Pastor, to say, in fact, we have seen the photos now. We have seen the photos where the ANC people are not even wearing masks. Does it really, they are not wearing masks. There is no more corona now because it's election. Okay, let me stop there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Okay, bye. Mr. Mangany, yeah, the questions are really coming to you now. You always say that ANC was formed in the church.
Yes.
But what is it that you are doing for the very same church that you're talking about? And you're talking about better communities, but it seems like the only community that is better now or enjoying better resources is the ANC politicians or officials. Otherwise, other communities like your business communities and all the other communities are suffering. And what is it that you have done, as you're talking about the JMPD, What is it that you have done to make JMPD to account for the things that happened to the church? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello?
Hello, how are you?
Well, and you?
I'm fine, thank you, Pastor. You're speaking to Putira Simpi. I'm phoning from Johannesburg.
Hello, Puti.
Yes. Okay, greetings to the others, the panel. Mine is actually not really a question. It is actually a suggestion.
You can go ahead.
Can you? Okay, yes. Because as I was listening, I got interested because I'm like, we are really hungry for to know more about politics. Because I, for one, when in 1994, I think I was still in primary school. I was so happy about the new government taking over, but I didn't really understand what was happening then. And then now, as I see my daughter, who is still in primary school, she has the Constitution Bill of Rights in her bag, and they are very interested in the rights that I mentioned there. How about as they go up, like as they go to the high school, how about we introduce political studies? You understand? So that our children can be equipped, they can be more interested in what is happening in their country, so that our children can actually be taught to love their country at a very young age. They can understand about these things more. You understand? Because now, even though the panel, they are from different movements. What I know is that they all care about South Africa as a country. They care about this land, and I believe they want something better for this nation. I know for sure, I never voted before. I think I started voting maybe in 2009. But I didn't really understand more into this. But one thing that I know, I did not go and vote for ANC, which means that the excitement that I had previously then in 1994, it was no longer there when I went to vote for the first time in 2009. It means something had changed along the way. So how about these political studies? How about they get introduced at high school so that our children can be equipped and they can fall in love with what is happening in their country? That is actually my suggestion.
Thank you very much, Puti. Political studies getting introduced at high school level so that our children can get to understand what politics is about and also be taught to love their country, patriotism. That has to be taught from an early age. Yeah, from primary. Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Cynthia. I'd like to ask a question.
You can go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening to the panels and the viewers. Mine is very simple. Firstly, I've not had any party that has got a breakdown in terms of their delivery, in terms of 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, in terms of the Municipal Systems Act and also the municipal planning. It's very clear on the deliverables for each politician. That is one. Two, ANC, you have failed twice. During the time of Tau, you were withdrawing the consent for the place of worship, which way where you are sitting, for the masses and the numbers of people who are voting. You were trying to take that. The DA, you did the same. Thirdly, again now you are doing the same. As you are sitting there, we are bleeding, wounded, not knowing where to go, because you are trying to do the same thing of withdrawing the place of worship in terms of the consent. As you know that you are utilizing the JMPD to continuously brutal. None of the speakers that are before there in front have not even touched on how to deal with that subject matter of the place of worship and the demolition of the church that you are sitting there, both the BA and the ANC. Now I want to know, what are you going to do from the 1st of November within 30 days on the issues of the place of withdrawal, the place of concern, of the place of worship, which you are trying to attempt to take, which by law you don't have notes, minutes, you don't have any proof that you can actually utilize from your city planning section. Your legal department, the corrupt officials that are seated there as you are representing them, you have not dealt with them from the perfect year in terms of what they subjected the church into. Thirdly, the MEC for community safety has not even a single day as a leader appeared before the masses that you need votes from to deal with the issues of brutality. It has been more than 10 years that JMPD on a day-to-day basis has been given superpower. What are you going to do with the abuse of power by your JMPD officials who are directed by your mayoral committee, by your MEC, and also by your previous mayors that were on board? Because as a politician, you're supposed to be accounting to us, the voters, who will able to hold you accountable. Now we are trying to hold you accountable. You are nowhere to be found. Pastor Mukuba, the congregations, the constituency of the community of the church are going to court alone. You are nowhere to be found. What sin did they do? What crime did they commit? No crime. But you are seated there, you need the vote. We want to see this Friday, where are the leaders that are before the city, that are not going with us to court for the sin that the pastor never committed. She is standing for us, the poor of the poor. We eat in that church. No ANC has given us food. During the time of COVID, we were housed by this church. We were dressed by this church. We were bathed by this church. Our counseling, psychological trauma of facing COVID, we were assisted. There were no political parties that were coming to say, here we are, we want to assist you. I just wanted to simplify with those. The most important thing is that from the 1st of November, and then within 30 days, about the issue of the incident of the 28th of February and the 6th of March, where a massive brutality and the issues of helicopter. Even today, you can go anywhere. We have never seen the JMPD utilize it. Who are you going to hold accountable?
Thank you very much. I know that when it comes to this incident, people become very highly emotional because people are still bleeding. Sorry? Oh, okay. You can hear when we talk about this incident, it's like it's never gonna go away. Eh? The pain just becomes more and more all the time. The more we talk about it, we revisit, is the more people become highly emotional. Hello? Hello?
Hello, good evening, how are you?
Good evening.
Yes, you're speaking to DINGANI SITHOLE. I'm calling you from Ward 122, Johannesburg.
Okay, Mr. Stolle.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, I used to call you Madam Speaker or the chairperson of the day. That is a prophecy.
Okay, Mr. Stolle, you can go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe when ACDP is in power, I'll speak to my leaders to take you to be our Speaker of Parliament.
You are recruiting me.
Yes, I have to recruit from the church.
I still want to hear from ACDP, what is it that they are doing for the church and what is it that they are going to do for the church? So, no recruitment for now. First answer those ones.
Don't worry. ACDP have sent you a capable man to respond to all those questions. I trust him, and believe me, after this show, you won't have a doubt of signing a membership even before he moves out from that city.
Okay, Mr. Stolle. Let's hear from
all right,
you.
let me go on to my question. Obviously, my question will go direct to the next mayor of Johannesburg, Bishop Dalton Adams. My bishop, we have heard you talking on the issues of service delivery and the program that is highlighted in your mayoral candidacy manifesto. And I'm more interested on this one of 7-Eleven Boots On program. And I loved this much, and then we want to adopt it as the ACDP and the general resident of Johannesburg. But we want to ask you more. As we go out there doing door-to-doors, and people still have the questions in which we are not able to answer them adequately. So can you please elaborate more on how effective this is going to be, one? Number two, what plans and measures that is going to be taken place in case some of the councillors, because you know the arrogance of our partners in politics, I cannot mention their names because we might need them for collation as well. So I don't want to shoot myself on the foot. Otherwise they'll say, yeah, you guys were nailing us on the TV, so we cannot give you A, B, C, and D. So I don't want to go there because we'll need them tomorrow. So in case they're becoming arrogant and not want to obey this project of 7-Eleven, what measures you as a mayor you're going to take to make sure that this is happening? For now, this is my question. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Sithole. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
There is Mr. Sithole of ACDP. He's a wise man. He called in order to compliment his leader. And from the previous caller, I didn't mention that we are being asked, or you are being asked, time frames. Yes. Just bear that in mind. I just wanted to just say, everybody bear that in mind. Hello? 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 I'm sure we are having connection problems. I'm just going to take 2 more callers and then we close the phone lines and we get the responses from the panelists. Hello? You are through to UBN. Hello?
Greetings, Pastor Mukuba, and to all the panelists.
Greetings.
This is Advocate Manfred Tawamaila.
I advocate.
Greetings, Mama. Firstly, let me begin by saying this. I am worried about how the ANC is sounding there, talking about they went into the core of the matter and they know how this matter must be approached. But even this very Friday, the very same matter is going to court. I'm having one question to say, since they know the core of the problem, do they think that this matter is supposed to be in court as it is, or they are simply saying they know the core so that they can come there and say, we have been here, we are not like DA? Because even though they've been there, they are the same as DA, they never provided any practical solution. And I must say this, then ANC must not talk as if the problem that happened in UBN of the attack is only there. On the 10th of January, we still saw other attacks of your Pastor Radebe in Panabale. On the 17th of April, we saw another attack of Christ Embassy in Randburg. All of these, they happened in Joburg, of which even another one happened in Gezina in Pretoria. So ANC has got 4 cases in Gauteng alone that are proving that they are anti-church. Though they keep on claiming from time to time when they engage Christian community that they are from a church. And also, I'm more concerned about what are they saying about church land development towards churches. Because a Christian community is one of those communities that are in need of a land. What is their manifesto saying? All the parties, what are they saying about land development towards churches? Because churches also do need land as much as businesses do need land.
that's another issue that I think we need to talk about. And also, I really wish we could hear more from the ANC, the DA, including the ATM and the ACDP. What is their job creation idea? Since we are sitting here in Gauteng, in the municipality, whereby we don't know the criteria that is being used to hire people. Some are entering there on the camaraderie basis, but we have graduates who need jobs, who have got qualifications in administration, in many other things. They are never given opportunities like that. It could have been nicer if we had what is it that they will create jobs with at the municipal level, because municipality is one of the spaces where employment can be created at larger points. And also, it's unfortunate that the DA has left. I heard them speaking about creating a competition for ESCOM, which is to privatize the supply of electricity for stability. And I'm wondering to say that is a privatization direction. If they go in a privatization direction, are they not worried that will be benefiting few individuals, the elite, who are into business and tendering, so on and so forth, without necessarily the community getting the savings they deserve? Because as soon as electricity goes private or water or anything, it becomes more expensive because there is a middleman who needs to make even more profit. So these are some of the things that I want us to look at. And also the ANC, really, you need to tell us if your practice of democracy is it based on majoritarian rule, or it only accommodates the minority groups at the expense of the majority. Because Christians being given on the silver platter, they are majority. But laws that the ANC is embracing and passing at local, at provincial, at national, they continue to violate what the majority stand for. So now, how do you then convince me as a part of the majority as a Christian to say my interests are looked after when the laws that you are passing, they are simply embracing the minority interest, not the majority interest, of which is still the same thing as what the DA still advocates for, that the ANC advocates for. And on continuation of that, I want to understand into saying, since while as Christian community we are meant to believe, to say as the Bible, it states that we need to protect the poor. We need to protect the poor. What is the stance of protecting the poor that you are bringing on the table? The poor are those who cannot afford the services. The poor are those who don't have food. The poor are those who don't have houses. The poor are those who cannot afford the basic living conditions. What is it that you are bringing on the table as your municipality manifesto, ANC, DA, ATM, to say this is what we're going to bring for the poor? Because at large, when you say you are bringing social development, mostly it ends up benefiting your very corrupt and fraudulent officials and comrades. Now, how can we be sure that you will be a government that follows the biblical precepts and standards to say you will protect the poor? And in protecting the poor, we mean that the very same people who can afford the living condition of being in Gauteng, they are assisted and taken into confidence that they will not suffer all the more. Because we are having a reality of poverty since lockdown. That is one thing that I want to be addressed also. And the DA, I really have this concern. I know you can say it's eThekwini, but it's still DA. There is this Phoenix case whereby the DA in eThekwini have called those who murdered our black people, our black brothers, the Zulus, heroes, whereas they murdered. Me as a Christian, knowing that murder is a sin and it's a crime, how must I address them? Must I see them as the party that promotes murder, as a party that promotes killing and calling that heroism? So I think these are some of the things the DA needs to clarify. And without going any much further, I must close with what I call the EFF disrespect. I see some are commenting there on EFF. I think EFF has shown its intellectual backwardness and emotional instability by not appearing before the panel so that itself it can be able to reason and rationalize its policies before the people. And I believe that that is a sign of disrespect to the church. As their leader Julius Malema once said, the church is useless, it does not add value. It is now that he affirms his words by his people not appearing. I do believe that in Gauteng, EFF has got more than 50, 40 leaders who can come and stand there and reason. For them not coming, it shows that they don't deserve any support from the church. Why? Because they don't respect us, they don't want us to hear from them so that we can be able to ask them questions to say, you said we are useless. What do you mean when you say we don't add value? These are some of the things I think we really need to look deep at and state clearly that the EFF is a no-go zone, and also the ANC, it should be a no-go zone according to where we are with them. Including the DA, it must be a no-go zone. But also, I want the ATM and the ACDP to clarify some of the issues that I have raised, and I believe that many others have raised them. And by so doing, let's also get a little bit into the involvement of the so-called Christian parties with the Christian church and the kingdom of God. What are you doing to increase the Christian population? Because the core of Christianity is winning souls than just campaigning for votes. What is your political party contributing into the spectrum of kingdom of God expansion than just saying we went to court, than just saying we are standing with you? What are you doing for the true nature of Christianity, which is to win souls and to make the heaven celebrate when one soul repents? Those are some of my questions. Thank you
very much, Advocate. I know that you are passionate about the things. You can go on and on. I know that you have got many points that you can still raise. We thank the Advocate for coming through. You have heard, I'm taking the last caller now. You have heard yourselves the questions that were posed to you, and I'm sure that you have noted those because I'm not going to go through all of them. Hello.
Greetings, Pastor, and your panelists. You're speaking to Florence from Ward 3 in Belleville, Western Cape.
Thank you, Florence.
I have a question for you, all your panelists.
Okay, you can go ahead.
Currently, we have 163 municipalities that are under financial duress and 29 municipalities that have been placed under administration. I want to know from all the political parties that are represented there with your panel, where are they going to get clean men and women of integrity who will execute their plans, the manifestos that they're talking about? Where are they going to get those people that will execute such plans? Because currently now we have administrators, public servants who are seated in those offices, who are very corrupted in such a way that you find those political leaders instructing them to use the public funds to do whatever businesses that they want to do. So my question is, should we put them in power on the 1st of November? What are they going to do to ensure that the maladministration that is taking place within the municipalities is attended to? Because the taxpayers' money are being utilized for wrong purposes. They are being utilized for things that they're not supposed to do. We have potholes all over the Western Cape province. It's just potholes. You can't even drive now at night in the Western Cape province because it's not safe. It's either you're getting hijacked or your car is getting smashed with a brick. You won't even know where the brick is coming from. All the street lights are not working. Majority of the street lights in the roads, they're not working. It's only you'll find the N1 that the street lights are working properly. So I want to understand from them, where are they going to get those people who will execute those plans? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Florence. She is raising very important points. Really, if we have got this many municipalities that are not really passing the audits, they don't have clean audits, and we are seeing all the things that are happening around, and we are hearing the political parties saying we are going to do this and this. Where are they going to get people of integrity to put into office so that they can deliver on what is being promised. Okay, Bishop, now I'm coming to you, Bishop MASHASHANE, to raise your questions that you have for the panelists, and at the same time you will be wrapping up, of course, and even our panelists, when you respond to the questions that were raised to you, you will also be wrapping up, we'll be wrapping up the program.
Thank you very much. Let me start with the ANC. The ANC being the present ruling party nationally and in the number of municipalities. All that we are discussing and all other parties are talking about, it's actually to clean the mess of ANC. ANC have disappointed us. The promises, they are very good, soft talkers, sweet talkers. They can soften you, but unfortunately me, they can't. They cannot be trusted. These are the same party that its NEC member, Nomvula Mkonyane, after you give them the votes, she will be talking in the TV and say, we don't beg your dirty votes. This is the very same party that was so arrogant and making mockery of our Lord Jesus Christ, saying they will rule until Jesus comes. And now Jesus has come, because Jesus is the truth. The truth is reflected in South Africa. We loved the movement. But since the movement president have confessed, they are always accused number one in corruption. You know, some of the demons, Jesus say they cannot be casted out without fasting and prayer. But the demon of corruption in ANC, we have fasted, but he is very stubborn. That demon is very stubborn. It is with that demon of corruption of ANC that at the moment as I'm speaking, I am involved in the investigation of 182 corruption of them selling the church stands. Just yesterday on Sunday, the person whom they is selling the church stands for 5,000 rands and evicting the churches, he went again, though we've got a court order against him, he went yesterday to go and harass the ministry called Tree of Life Ministry yesterday. While that matters are involved with the Minister of Culture in the investigation. The church which was in the stand for 11 years, they went Nicodemously and sell that church for 5,000 rand. They even went and issued the title deed. That is how corrupt is this ANC. It is my position that with the love that we had and we have for ANC, let's give them at least a 5-year to go and try to repent. They don't even deserve to be an opposition party. I can't trust this. They don't. They've messed up a lot. The government that does not protect its people, the government that slaughter, kill the people. They killed in Marikana. Until today, they are running away to go and confess in Marikana. Now they are killing the church, the lamb, the defenseless nation, the people of peace. We don't see all this happening. You know, they always don't like us when we say apartheid was better or whatsoever. I'm going to make that public comparison. As they are saying ANC was born in church, it's because the apartheid, though was corrupt, and was against the human dignity, was saving the minority, but they respected the church. At least when you run to church, you will survive. But this corrupt ANC, it's killing people in the church. There's nothing that has been done with those JMPD police, because obviously they are sent. They are sent by these murderers of ANC. That is why when you kill, they give you a promotion. We saw it happening. The woman who was leading in killing the innocent 140 ACD men, she was immediately given promotion. That is how ANC do. When you are a killer, you are a hero for them. This is making me very emotional. And you, ANC, don't think because you've got a seat to eat with Guptas, then you are untouchable. We have suffered. Me personally, I had the drops of my blood to have this democracy, which you are making it a demon crazy today. I am saying, with our people, the pastors, the bishops, the prophets, evangelists, please stop being coward and fold your arms and say, no, we don't get involved in the political arena. We have to tell our people, we cannot keep on bringing ANC into power to kill us. They cannot keep on, now they are using this pandemic as their tool, whenever it suits them. Remember in the meeting, I told the Deputy President Mabuza that I know, because the Constitutional Court have ruled that elections are going to go on. In a week, you are going to give us false statistics and say people who are dying with COVID have dropped so that you can campaign. And immediately you finish, as we are going to kick you out of the government. When we are done with you, you are going now to pronounce that the COVID has gone up and log our churches. I am saying outside there to all the pastors, as I've told IEC on Thursday, all our churches, more than 400 churches that I'm representing, we are going to allow the voting on Saturday, because they are saying they're doing the special votes. But to Sunday, because they want to do it on Sunday, let them do it in the street. No church will be stopped and stop worshiping for the elections. They are saying they want to make vaccination mandatory. But that mandatory, it's not pronounced now because they want you to go, even if you are not vaccinated, you must go and vote them. After voting, they are going to say, you can't go to stadium, you can't go to college, you can't do this and this. This ANC have taken us 100% turn back to apartheid. We cannot. And I am speaking and I'm going to be vocal. So, hence I told even the president, I addressed him, but because from the president down, they are just arrogant. ANC is very arrogant. ANC think they are untouchable. They beg nobody, they listen to nobody. Only the Guptas. I also want to say to the DA, as they've run away, obviously they don't deserve us. They are not going to get any votes from Christians. Unless the white Christians. Now we are coming to you, brother, next to me. ACDP. You cannot tell us that Christians have been folding their arms and then they are giving everything to the politicians. That does not make any sense. You were in the government, you were part of the government in parliament for 27 years. The reason why you were represented, whether you've got 2 seats or 1 seat, is because there's Christians who trusted you. And because you did not help us with anything, we lost the trust. You didn't stand for the church. You didn't. As you are saying, you stood for the and spoke about the brutality. Obvious, that was after I spoke to your president, your leader. And yes, I met him. I was with him in Sebokeng. But here, he never even acted. He never even spoke until when there is a white church, like advocate was saying. After the white church was attacked, that was when ACDP stood and started to speak for the church. We want people who are honest. ATM, you cannot come in this podium and tell us that you've got a motion which you took the government for opening the churches. That is not true. We have filed the motion, and all the parties who opened the motion against the regulation were all consolidated, and all those cases will be heard on the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. You are not there. On our motion to fight for the opening of churches, we are even supported by Muslims. But you are not there. You don't have any motion. So please, when we are here, we need to be honest because we know everything that is taking place. We are not here to campaign for any party, including you, including the ACDP. I don't campaign for any party, including ANC. ANC, before we bury you, I know you are in the ICU. Please relax there. Don't even contest. You were not supposed to even waste and contest. You have disappointed and, caused a big damage. Today, our country is becoming a banana republic. You're changing the start. You are a double-minded people. Anytime you see you want to serve your agenda, then you change the regulations. Oh, those regulations, you make it for the church, not for the politicians. When there is a funeral of a politician, more than 50 people can go. But for us who are not politicians, only 50 people, because if you are not a politician, then there is a transmission. When we're talking about you going to court, accompanying your first accused on the corruption, you go in buses, nothing because you are untouchable. I am repeating, and these words I said it to the president, I said them also to the deputy president. I say, mene tekel umfarzin. This is the end of your government. And if you are not going to sit down and repent in these 5 years of local elections, come national 2024, you are not even going to get a seat in parliament to be even in the opposition. I am saying to the people, as for me, I'm not convinced. All of you, including the religious parties, all you are talking about is the negative of the ANC, but you don't give us anything new. So all that means you all deserve to be the opposition. You are not leaders. Leaders are initiators. They come with something new. Leaders, they show us that yes, between the present crisis, we do have a bridge to the future. A bridge, it's a vision. If you don't have a vision, we are not going to be led by people who are visionless. People who don't have a vision, who cannot start something new. I know that DA ran away. I wanted to ask her the question. The things that she said we will do this, they were given a chance to lead in Johannesburg. Why they didn't implement what they are promising? So we are not going to be lied and follow the lies. Finally, all of you, you are talking about your manifesto, you are talking about all those. These are not new. It is the decoration of your emblems. We know about it. We are not moved or shaken by that. I thought you will also talk about the land. All of you, you are singing a song of land distribution without compensation. But you also still want the church to buy the land. In my presentation to our forum on Saturday, which I have also write to the president, from now on, we are saying No pastor, no church will pay for the land. We need the land now as a church. The only party we will listen to, it is the party that will say, we are going to make sure that in our, if we win the elections, we are going to have the Ministry of Religious Affairs. We are going to give the church a land without compensation. We don't need to buy the land because the churches, they are the infrastructure of the community. They belong to the community. A church is like a community hall. It doesn't serve a purpose of a human being. It serves a purpose of the community. So all of you, you've got nothing for us. I am saying to the people outside there, the Christians outside there, nobody that you can trust. Please throw your vote into independent candidates. As for these parties, all of them, they've got nothing. They are empty. Empty. They've got nothing. Throw your vote, scatter your vote anywhere. Unfortunately, I'm not a candidate. Otherwise, you could trust me.
Maybe you should have stood for a candidate.
Because
And I think we must have a chance to respond.
okay, all right.
Because we're
Now,
not gonna sit here
okay,
and not
Bishop,
respond.
okay, Bishop Adams, you next. Before you go next, I'm gonna give you at least 5 minutes each to respond and wrap up, of course. Let me say that the things that are happening in our country, of course, are frustrating for everyone. The standards of living have dropped so much, and people are suffering, people are living in poverty, and we do want to see change. We have been in darkness for quite a long time, including darkness of not having electricity, of course, and we know that it's more because of corruption, though I heard Mr. MANGANYI talking about people overloading the resources like your transformers and whatever, but at the bottom of it all, you have got corruption that is taking away everything, something that we need to address, of course. I'm saying this, that what is going on for somebody who is a servant of God, it gives us sleepless nights. It pains me quite a lot. It is very difficult to keep quiet. Hence, I understand the frustration of Bishop MASHASHANE. I see that some people are writing that, Bishop, you have got anger issues. You are very emotional. But
I didn't want to say it.
You didn't want to say it. Okay. At least I'm fair because I'm fair because I read everything that everyone is writing, and I put it out there. So I must say that I do understand some of the frustration, because as a servant of God, I see my people suffering quite a lot. I see life deteriorating, and obviously it gives us sleepless nights. And I deal with people on the ground all the time, people who are suffering quite a lot. I was in Venda. It is good that we are going to be having a Vembe municipality on Thursday. We are talking to the Limpopo people. We want to hear from their candidates, what is it that they are offering to their people. I mean, I'm from Venda. This weekend I was ministering in Venda, and the driving there was very difficult because it's potholes everywhere. I was wondering, because the president was there as well, I was saying, so if the president is driving on this road, the roads are non-existent, and there it is worse because they don't even have a hospital. Chilizini Hospital, which used to be a glorious hospital, has collapsed, and people are queuing for operations. I mean, I was with another woman. She has been waiting for an operation since 2018, and she's bleeding all the time. When her bleeding starts, it takes the whole month. So it's things like those that we are facing. That is why we are saying we cannot keep quiet. Those who are in leadership have to be accountable to the people. They have to start coming down to understand the pains that people have, because it's like now we are normalizing things that are not normal at all. It's not right that our people should live in this kind of poverty, that our people should live in this kind of life where they have to queue for grants. We should, as a country now, be advanced to the extent that we are able to create jobs for our people, that they don't become dehumanized, queuing every day at the post office, waiting for 350. Tell me what 350 does. Really, can I live on 350? Definitely no. So we cannot be proud of such things, because these things are really making people to lose hope, and especially the issue of crime, which is fueled also by unemployment and other things. We have got resources in our country that can cater for all of us. Where are those resources channeled to? Because really people are suffering. So I would want really everyone who is campaigning now to think about people, to take into consideration the suffering of our people. People are suffering. They are in pains, they are disillusioned, they are hopeless. Let us think about it, that we are dealing with people here. Bishop, your 5 minutes starts now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think, let me first start by saying there is delayed anger. There is what we call delayed frustration. When we decided, when Reverend MPHO decided 27 years ago to go into politics, I'm sure God also led him into politics. And at the time, I never understood why he went there, but he stood ethically, morally. There's no corruption concerning the leader of the ACDP for 27 years, trusted and tried. I was in the ANC. I come from the ANC. I was in the trenches of the ANC. I joined the ACDP in 2019 January, because I then realized when God led me into politics. And my challenge here, Pastor Makuba, is when we are now in politics, people think we have become atheists. People think that we have left God. People think that we don't speak in tongues and we don't preach the gospel like they preach the gospel. The same Bible you preach from is the same Bible I still preach from. But the reason why I went into politics 7 years ago was primarily because of the anger that you are now articulating. The frustration that you are articulating now, saying our people are suffering. I put up my hand and I said, I cannot just stand behind the pulpit knowing the plight of our people. I became tired to say, God bless you, and our people are hungry. And I send them out, they're not clothed. And I send them out, they have no roof over their heads. I say, you know, I don't go to prisons, and I say, I don't visit them. That's what Jesus said. So I came into politics not to become a politician, but I came into politics to begin to change the material conditions of our people. And proudly so, when COVID-19 was ravaging our people, we might not have been in your places and areas, but it doesn't mean we were lying on the beach. It doesn't mean that we were sleeping somewhere else. We were working in constituencies on the ground, feeding people. We were fighting for our people, for the pastors to be essential services. We were fighting in parliament and legislatures. There is proofs of this that the ACDP has been fighting. The issue of talking about public holidays. For us, it's not public holidays, it's the ACDP. It's holy days. And the ACDP has stood vehemently against saying they will not take our Christmas. They will not take our Good Friday. They will not take our Easter Sunday. It's the ACDP, the only party that put up their hand to say it will not happen. When we had the marches for comprehensive sexual education, We stood against what the education department wanted to introduce, some kind of a pornographic way of teaching our children about sex education. It's the same ACDP that fought and is still fighting for it. It's the same ACDP that recently had a march against mandatory vaccines to say that the church cannot accept that vaccines must be forced. People have a choice, and we are pro-choice concerning that. I can show you myriad of things that the ACDP stood up to say this is what we are standing for. When it comes to the issues of service delivery that was called by one of the callers here today, and I think Advocate Mo Africa mentioned about it. That's why when you say, with respect, Bishop, that there's nothing new that we are talking about, the 7-11 program, sir, is primarily the program that will keep the officials accountable to be on the ground. They're not on the ground, Pastor, Bishop. They're not on the ground. They're sitting in their ivory offices. They're sitting in their beautiful offices, air-conditioned offices. Don't know what's happening on the ground, the potholes that one of the callers was talking about. But I am saying when 7-11 program is introduced, and on the timeline I'm talking about, Pastor Makubu, is the timeline for a year. Maybe it'll even take longer. I have a program when it comes to foreign nationals. I can't mention it now. The issue of making job seeking more affordable for our young people. I can't speak because the time doesn't allow me. The one thing that one woman, I think it was Buti, spoke about, the issue of political education. We must teach from primary school patriotism. We have lost it. The love for the flag, the love for the national anthem, the understanding of how politics work. This is important. That's why the country is in the mess that they find themselves. Let me say in closing, I want to agree with you, my bishop. The country is in a mess. There's no doubt about it. Our people are suffering. There's no doubt about it that the governments that were in charge did not do what they were supposed to do. But then you are right, we must have a vision. My colleague from the ATM, a vision. Without vision, people perish. And collectively, church, collectively, not us and them, but we need to take hands together to see how will we rebuild this beautiful South Africa for the next generations. And let me close by saying, Pastor Makuba, it's nothing to do with us. Our candles are burning shorter, but the next generations are looking to us. The Bible says, one generation shall praise the work of another generation. I put up my hand to say, let me work what I can. I need you, Bishop. I need you, Pastor Makuba. Let us work together, the whole body of Christ. This 85%, if the 85% of people could vote together, we would take over this country in a jiffy. But we are not lives, according to what God has purposed for them, that they deserve in this new South Africa. I thank you so much.
Thank you, Bishop. But before you go, there was a question as well about time frames, land issue, and then the land for the churches. Yes. If you get to be the mayor of the city of Johannesburg on the 2nd of November, is it the 2nd? Second. When are you electing the mayor?
Negotiations will take place. It will not be the 2nd. It will be within 14 days.
Within 14 days. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, of course, you wouldn't have finished everything. Within 14 days. Let's say maybe 2-3 weeks from now, you are announced Bishop Adams as the mayor of City of Joburg. All right, you were asked time frames with regard to land issues, with regard to solving the problems of the churches, with regard to things like your JMPD issue, which many people are raising here. How are you going to deal with JMPD issue? Like you see that you are dealing with people who have got problems, power abuse, corruption, bribe taking. They are doing a whole lot of things. They don't respect the law. How are you going to reform such a structure? Because those are very important people in our society, in our city. Structures like those, what are you going to do? Because if we don't address these things, these problems are going to be continuous, because people now have become a law unto themselves. They're no longer serving. Somebody has written it that how are you going to transform them so that they become service providers instead of people who are serving themselves?
The challenge on your last point, Pastor Makuba, is the challenge of leadership. The lack of leadership is what needs to be restored in the city of Johannesburg. You see, the issue of democracy, and Bishop calls it demon crazy, has been our challenge, which allowed lawlessness. There's nothing wrong with democracy in terms of the people shall govern, but the people are not governing. So leadership, you need a mayor who will restore the decorum of the chain, the value of the chain, a leader that will be able to command respect on his MMCs, his executive and his administration, and not cater deployment. Because one of the callers are asking, how will we be able to change the people that are there? How will we find the people? We must professionalize every department in the city of Johannesburg. It must not be only ACDP people. It must be people that we can get from every other sector who can do the job, who actually qualifies to do the job. It must not be cater deployment or nepotism or friends and family that gets the jobs. On the issue of transforming institutions and entities like JMPD, again, it's the issue of there must be guidelines, and we must be clear in telling them you cannot continue to brutalize our people. People must be brought to book. Whatever happened to you up to now, they haven't been brought to book. A leader of JMPD should have, and the mayor should have been involved in making sure those JMPD officials that did what they did here that day was brought to book and even arrested or fired. We need to get a more hard-handed. The lawlessness that we have is that everybody can do what they want. People can sell drugs at the schools. They can hijack buildings, which brings me to the land audit, Pastor Makuba. There needs to be a land audit in the city of Johannesburg, because we don't know what land is available, what land must be expropriated. Because land is not just in relation to ground, it's also buildings. Buildings make out the land expropriation. There are buildings that are derelict, that are standing there, that are demolished. Those buildings you must fund. With the 7-11 program, it is that audits that will be done to go to buildings. Who's the owner of this building? Why is that building standing empty? Maybe the owner has immigrated. Maybe the owner has died. Then that building must be expropriated to under the city, and must be fixed again and renovated for drug rehab centers, for living spaces, for whatever need there is. So when it comes to land, when I'm the mayor, the land that is vacant must be audited, and it must be used for housing and must be used for the people. Now the land, when it comes to agricultural land, there's no agricultural land in the city of Johannesburg. But we must make sure that we have food security in terms of using spaces for communities. And this is my last point, Pastor Makuba. We must galvanize the communities. No, the ANC, nor the ACDP, nor the EFF, DA or ATM will be able to fix the city of Joburg. It's going to take a collective effort of all the people to work together to change the city of Johannesburg. And if we do that, then the city will be for better.
Bishop, and in 2 sentences, the race issue.
Yes, I grew up under apartheid. My parents grew up under 300 colonialism. I grew up in 40 years apartheid, 27 years in democracy. Race is a no-no. I deplore it with everything that is inside of me.
It's property rates.
Rates. Oh, rates.
Yeah, property
oh,
rates.
rates.
Yes.
No. Churches must be exempted.
Yes. Besides churches now, now people are being charged rates that are even above their salaries.
So the issue of billing and rates must fall in the jurisdiction in the mayor's office. It cannot be relegated to a department. Like drugs must fall into the mayor's office, like GBV must fall in the mayor's office, with all the stakeholders having a war room. Because I cannot give you an answer now today. We have to work to see how we are going to go to the people. We need to go back to the ground to ask the people, what do they want? Not top-down, but bottom-up approach. And that's why we cannot come and say we're going to do this and make promises that we cannot keep. Let the people tell us what they want. And then we must, through through the IDP program. We must then take it collectively and work it together and then come out with a plan that will take the city of Joburg forward.
Then, Bishop Adams, by now, when you are campaigning to be there in the offices, shouldn't you have done the studies already and be able to tell the people that this is what we are bringing, which is different? We have done these studies, we have spoken to our people. Shouldn't you have done that by now?
You see the challenge for that is you come and you take the studies and you hear what people are saying. I'm saying we need to get the information and a needs analysis from the people first, to begin to engage the people, to say to them, what is it that you want with housing? How are we going to deal with the issue of housing? No party, for 27 years, the ANC has come, we'll do this, and that never happened. So I'm coming with the approach to say, let us engage the people, the citizenry of Johannesburg, when it comes to drugs, when it comes to housing, when it comes to employment, because you see, you cannot come here and force it down the throats of the people. And it's not going to happen overnight. Even if I come into power after 14 days, I won't be able to change anything. The people must know if the deficit of service delivery is so magnanimous, we have to go back and work together for a period of time to make sure that we rebuild the city of Johannesburg.
Thank you, Bishop. Mr. MANGANYI, I'm coming to you now. You were showing some videos there on the screen. Did you see those, Bishop? I don't think Mr. MANGANYI saw them. Did you see them? Can you just go back a bit? I just saw that you were showing some important things. Just go back. Okay. Go back again. All right. Was there not another one before this one? I saw people in the white tent, blue tent, and inside the church. Okay. And there are many of those, of course. It's just that it caught my eye when I saw it. And Mr. MANGANYI, those are many. You see that it was the broadcast that the president said we should do online with to be able to talk to our people, but this is what was happening. When there was, you can see, the setup was like this. There was no one here in the church, there was no one in the tents, but those things were happening like all the time. Yeah, you come here, you are broadcasting, it will be the police coming saying that we were told there is a gathering, and each time they would take those photos. How do you do that in the house of God? This thing has been brewing up for quite a long time. The unfortunate part is that we told everyone, we called the people who are responsible in the city. We even wrote to the police, what do you call them? Bostole, Bomawela. Yes. Everybody was notified about all the things that, you know, this thing, what is happening now is just not on. And what did it result into? It resulted into people getting severely injured. It resulted into us nearly getting killed. And
as action is taken, we are not going to be convinced that the government is not happy with it. Because if it's not happy or the municipality is not happy, action would have been taken.
That it is so difficult to understand what was going on and what is going on now, that after all the things are so visible, they are out there, still there is no action that is taken. Mr. Manganyi, let me give you your time to respond to the issues that were raised.
Thanks very much, Pastor. I think the first thing that I need to indicate is that the ANC have never been shy to admit its mistakes where there were mistakes committed. And it is through this, ability and willingness to admit where we are wrong that assist us to move forward and be able to do better and deliver better services to our people. We have admitted in our own national conference in 2017 that there is a lot that is not going well in the movement, and there is a need for us to renew the ANC, to take the ANC back to its former glory. That was the posture and the attitude of that conference of the ANC, because there was an admission, to say that if we do not act urgently, we will find ourselves in a situation where the organization itself, dies a natural death. And that will be, a very, very serious setback to the people of South Africa, if that was to happen. And that is why we recommitted ourselves into the renewal project. And in that renewal project, that is why one of the things that we have resolved on, which, as we implement them, it comes with challenges. That, people who are accused or charged with criminal-related issues, whether it's corruption and etc., must step aside so that they are not the face of the ANC, because the ANC cannot find itself being caught into those kind of a conduct. I mean, we have done it with one of the highest offices in the ANC within the top 6, the Secretary General, as we speak now. He's not performing his duties because of the ANC is demonstrating its willingness and ability to cleanse itself. It's not only even with that particular matter alone. So, people generally would like to generalize statement. No, there are no leaders of the ANC who are charged with corruption and all. Any ANC leader that is involved in any form of corruption or their allegations, they are charged. If there is any leader of the ANC who's accused of corruption and there's evidence and is not charged, I will wish to know the name of that leader, because I will be shocked. The Zondo Commission have assisted us to identify number of hidden agendas that were happening even behind the ANC itself. So, you must understand that the ANC is a broader church. It is joined by many members coming from different backgrounds. So people sometimes they abuse the name of the ANC and do wrong things in the name of the ANC. And what we must be interested on is to ask ourselves, what is it that the ANC is doing after it discovers that somebody used the ANC's name to do the wrong things? And that is why the ANC is acting. That is why we came up with those guidelines of step aside to ensure that those that are found to have been accused or charged of this kind of malfeasance, the ANC is able to act. So that is a demonstration that we are willing to correct ourselves and do better. So there are a number of issues that have been raised, Pastor, that are directed to the ANC. The first thing that I must start talking about is that I'm asked that I was here before and I'm back today. What is it that we have done? I have, you know, when I was here, Bishop MASHASHANE, you were here, Pastor, you were here. I have made commitments on behalf of the ANC, not promises, commitments, that leaders of the ANC must be able to account to society, must be able to account where they are needed to account. You know, even when I'm here, as part of accountability, if you can check how much the ANCs get grilled here, I come here consciously knowing that we are going to be in a hot seat. I could have been like EFF and decided to stay at home and say, I'm not going there.
Even after you have confirmed.
You know, yes, you see. But I came here because I'm here to demonstrate that, look, we have observed what happened to the church. We have seen what happened to the church as an organization. Look, we are not going to excuse ourselves from the conduct of the JMPD. The reality is that the JMPD, there are those individuals and those that are responsible who have, subjected this church to the trauma that it found itself in. And I'm not going to say excuse us, because we are the governing party. We must be accountable for the actions of those that we are leading in government. It might not have been ourselves as the ANC or our deployees who have sent JMPD here, but we can't say, we can't excuse ourselves. We take responsibility. And Bishop MASHASHANE, you know, the reason why I get worried is that, you know, if I was here before, like I was here before, if you were to play the recordings and listen to yourself, you will realize that you are repeating the same things that you have said before, word by word. You know, and from then until today, do you want to tell me that you did not see any progress? That you will say, you know, at least we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I get worried because, you know, when I make a commitment here, Pastor, I'm not making a commitment for the purpose of members of this church and the community to vote for the ANC. Voting for the ANC must be the conscious decision that they make themselves on the basis of how we conduct ourselves and how we want to take this city of Joburg forward. And they must know that even not voting for the ANC has consequences, whether positive or negative. And I'm saying I was here, and so far we have tried to move. The Premier was here, it was just last week, not very far. The Deputy Minister have committed to come here. He even made it very clear, Comrade SASAVONA, I'm not going to the church for the purposes of votes. I want to go to the church because I understand the challenges which have been raised with us. You know, Bishop MASHASHANE have raised these issues. But because I am currently busy with election work outside Gauteng, I will come to the church at the end of November. That will be after elections. And I'm trying to drive a certain point that we do not come here to the church to intervene into these issues for the purposes of the 1st of November. The Premier does not depend on the 1st of November to remain the Premier. The 1st of November will come and go. Premier Makura will still be a Premier until 2024. He has made a commitment to the church. In fact, I can tell you immediately, Pastor, after we left here, the Premier couldn't even wait for himself to sit, to go home, relax, after the trauma of the videos he have observed. He couldn't even wait for the next day and do things through his office. He called the mayor and say, Mayor, we're running. I'm from Pastor Makubo. This is what I have seen there. Can you please ensure that I get a report of what happened there? And ensure that there are, you know, practical interventions that must be made in dealing with the issues that the church is faced with. You see, this case that the pastor is subjected to, yes, it's a sub judice matter. But you can tell that, it's one thing that we should not even be focusing on. Its continued existence to going in and out of court where I am sitting is not even necessary. As I have indicated that we have managed to get into the core of the issue. And let me explain it. Probably I need to explain it so that it can be well understood. When the church bought this land, it applied to the city of Joburg to build this church. The city of Joburg approved the church to build this church. So the church did not build this church illegally. I want somebody to come and tell me that it was built illegally. It was not built illegally. It was approved. And Prof. Makuba together with Pastor Mukuba, they have explained that, this is an industrial area that was not supposed to be residential. They were not supposed to be people who reside here and all that. However, the city allowed people to build houses here next to the church. So I want us to go to the core of the issue. And that is where the problem is. To approve people to build residential houses without rezoning the area to become a residential issue, to allow the church to buy this land, and you approve even the church plans to build here. It's what we discovered last week when we were here with the Premier. In the process, when neighbors are complaining about the obvious noise that will come out of the church, it's obvious that noise will be there. It's a very big church. Even if, Pastor, you can take away the speakers and say people sing, there will be enough noise for neighbors to complain. So there is a structural problem in how the city have planned this area and allow the church and residential people when it is an industrial area without rezoning it. And when these people complain, then the city withdraws the permission provided to the church. They realize after that, hey, we made a mistake to allow a church to be built there. Hey, there are problems coming because now people are complaining. So, what should have the city done at that particular point? The city should have not harassed the church. Should have firstly admitted that we were wrong to allow this industrial area to be used what we have approved to be used for without rezoning it. Second to that, if the city sees it that it was necessary for the church to be moved from here to another area like the church currently is moving, is it Ekenhof? It should have been the responsibility of the city to assist the church to get land, to assist the church to build another church in that land, not the church itself through its own cost. I'm saying out of that meeting, that is the summary of the problems that I have identified. This thing of sending JMPDs and police coming here to harass the church is to defocus us from the real issue. And we must deal with the real issue. Hence, I'm saying this thing of court cases and stuff like that, for me, where I'm sitting is not necessary. And that is why our engagement with our deployees in government will continue. And I'm hoping that they will also heed to the call that the Premier has made on his capacity as the chairperson of the ANC. He did not waste time. So I wanted to start there so that, this thing of JMPD can be understood from a correct context. And by saying this, I'm also implying that, watching that video, there were consistent people with AMPD uniform, highly unruly. You will think they smoke even Nyaupe in the manner in which they were conducting themselves. Yes. Because that was the first time I saw the video in full. You could see that they will just shoot anywhere, anyone as they wish. And you can't observe such a situation and there must not be consequences. It cannot happen. And I'm making this commitment. After elections, I will still be here. After elections, I'm going to be visiting you, Pastor. Don't worry. I will still be here. We are going to ensure that there are consequence management. management. Because, you know, one of the biggest problems is that in government is that there is no consequence management. There are people, you know, including with issues of your wasteful expenditure, you know, maladministration, you find that there is no enough consequence management. And that is what we must implement, because we have committed ourselves as the ANC that there must be consequence management to those who does wrong things. And that consequence management must also be applicable in this case. So, we are going to deal with the JMPD issue. Don't worry, it's not about the 1st of November. It's beyond that. Even if we will be in the opposition, if we don't get voted for, we are still going to fight for the consequence management on what happened in the church. So I needed to deal with those things first, Pastor. But also to give that context that I was not here last time just to make statements and misrepresent the ANC and lie to the Church of God. I will never do such a thing. I am a Christian myself, and there is no way I can compromise a religion that is my foundation. You know, I'm a Christian before I'm a member of the ANC. You know, so it cannot be true that and there's many of us, you know, as much as there are other also faith-based, you know, people who believe in other religions and all that. But I can tell you, if you say 85% of South Africans are Christians, why will you not expect that probably close to 85% or more than of that are members of the ANC, members of the ANC are Christians, you know? So.
It's like us and them, and I ask myself, in this church, don't we have ANC members? Don't we have...
In fact, Pastor...
A church is home for everyone.
Pastor, one of your child, Masindi Mbengwa, is a candidate of my ward where I reside.
The one, I've got many.
No, I'm just giving you an example, you know. He's a candidate of the ANC, and it's one of your child, and that demonstrates that, you know, even your own members of the church are members of the ANC. And I'm sure they will not want to allow the ANC, you know, to abuse their own church, as much as I will not even allow that myself, as the leader of the ANC in the region. So we are going to deal with those issues of JMPD. I'm hoping, it's my hope, Pastor, that this Friday, probably, it will be your last appearance. I'm hoping, you know. I don't want to speak much on the sub judice issues, but I'm just hoping that the intervention that is going to be made, it will also include resolving this matter amicably, so that we don't focus on you going to court. We focus on dealing with the real problem. When you leave here, Pastor, and go to your new church, state-of-the-art church, what is going to happen with this building and this land? It's a conversation that we must have, because this investment cannot go down to drain. And that is what we must ensure that it is addressed. So I'm saying we are here to ensure that we demonstrate what the ANC is about. The ANC might have been dented its image by some of those that we might have led with before. They might have been our members. They might not have conducted themselves properly, but we are going to renew this ANC. We are going to make this ANC Bishop MASHASHANE. We have repented. You know, in Johannesburg, we lost in 2016. I don't think we need another 5 years to lose again, as you are calling for. We don't need another 5 years. We have had enough. We have had enough. Our people also, they have had enough under the DA. So we don't want to go back there. In fact, Bishop, you must tell your people, they must vote for the ANC. Not to give the ANC. It was on a lighter note, Bishop, but let me deal. Yes.
Whatever will happen from now, especially on Friday, it's what will really help us on convincing or speaking to the other side. You understand? Friday, we want to see ACDP in court, ANC full in court. Every party that says this is wrong, let them come in court and be public to say we are against this.
Bishop, let me indicate this. We don't want to use the pain of the church for electioneering. It's easy for us to mobilize, pastor, to come to court on Friday. It's very easy. We even have our members in the church. We will say, wear ANC t-shirts, hold placards. We can print them for them. But why will we want to do that? Because the first is election, then we must go to court and do whatever you are requesting us to do. We are not going to do that, Bishop. We are going to engage the church and its leadership. We are going to ensure that we resolve this issue without being populists who are here to buy votes through appearing in courts and raising placards and all those things. We are going to allow the church to handle the matter the way it handled it. We are going to play our role as the governing party, as the leading party in the GLU. We are going to follow up on what we have committed to the church on. The Premier has made commitments as the chair of the ANC. We are going to ensure that those things are implemented. Going to court, it will be just, a public stand and all that because of the first already outlined. You understand? So I don't want to commit the ANC into the issue of Friday, but you know what our commitments are. And you will receive that call also, Pastor. I don't want to talk about it. You will receive that call. It's very important in addressing all these issues. But I want to highlight few issues. The ANC government, through its agencies, we have dwelt with a number of corrupt-related cases. The problem is that, media, when it reports, Bishop, it focuses on few individuals who might be associated with the ANC and claim that we are not serious about dealing corruption. We have got, 90% of conviction rate. 90%, with a conviction rate of 93%. So out of all the cases of corruption that are dealt with through the National Prosecution Authority, which is the state entity that is meant to deal with those issues. So, I don't want to bore you with many of these statistics, but I'm trying to demonstrate to you that 93% conviction rate, you don't get it, you don't read about it in any newspaper. That's a demonstration of how serious we are. There are people, who supported even President Ramaphosa in Nazareth. Those people who are accused of corruption are also in court. No one will be defended by President Ramaphosa if they are found to have been involved in wrongdoing. No one. Not in this ANC. So that must be a demonstration of how serious we are. So, our people must continue to have confidence in the ANC. Give us an opportunity. You punished us in 2016. We have learned our lesson. Even in 2019, when we took over, we didn't take over as the ANC. We relied on other parties. We have to, out of the 10 MMCs, we have got only 5 in the ANC. The other 5 is other parties because we must bargain with them. So we are saying give us full mandate as the ANC so that we are able to take full responsibility for everything we do in government. So that we can implement all those commitments that I have outlined. There is one of the members who asked about our job creation strategy and all that. I can tell you, just by one pillar, because I want to outline all of them, one pillar that focuses on the smart city, because we have got a growth and development strategy 2040 that we have developed in 2011, because we are visionary, we think for the future. One of its pillars is smart city. We are saying that with that pillar, we can create about 20,790 jobs. And we can support about 1,555 SMMEs. One pillar of smart city. And this pillar, it speaks about, how do we ensure, like for instance, we have started to implement e-Joburg, which is intended to assist Pastor on the issues of the billing, because we have got a billing system in the City of Johannesburg. People get wrong billings and all that, and it's even difficult sometimes to log your calls because the call center will be inundated with calls. So there is an online system that is going to assist us to deal with the billing system. It's part of the smart city, and that in itself is going to create about 200 jobs. We are going to also have digital ambassadors who are going to ensure that all the smart city and digital programs that the city has are known to the citizens of Johannesburg, from even those who are in the townships and in the impoverished areas. You know, smart city, in all the strategic crime areas where there are criminal elements, we want to install civilian cameras so that we ensure proactive crime fighting. Proactive crime fighting, what does it mean? It means police must see criminals before even yourself, Bishop, reporting that crime. The police must be reactive into the criminal into the criminal activities. If somebody robs you a cell phone, police must be able to get into the scene before you even get into the doorsteps of the police station to report that robbery or whatever that will be happening. It's part of the smart city program. So we're going to increase the rollout of Wi-Fi into many other areas in Johannesburg. If you can see many of the city, buildings, you will see many young people outside the buildings accessing Wi-Fi, because it tells you that Wi-Fi is now part of the essential needs. And data is very expensive. So the city must roll out its broadband program all over Johannesburg, especially prioritizing poor areas like townships with that particular Wi-Fi so that our people can have connectivity. So I'm saying that, Pastor, that rollout of Wi-Fi itself is going to create employment, is going to support SMMEs. We are going to bring back Josie at Work. You see, Josie at Work, people are talking about issues of tender processes and the fact that tender processes benefits few people. Josie at Work, Pastor, is meant to ensure that some of the work that is done by the city, because you see, when you are a government that does not work with the communities, you will not succeed. Josie at Work assists us to ensure that they are saying I have bent the mic, my voice compromised the mic, Pastor. so Josie at Work, it assists us to empower more SMMEs, so we give SMMEs an opportunity to do the work that will normally be done by the city. They can clean our streets, they can cut our grass, they can fix our potholes, they can, be able to do things that were under normal circumstances only the city was going to be able to do. And the city has not enough capacity, I can tell you, look, we fixed about 90,000 potholes in 3 months. But you still have potholes today in Johannesburg. And that tells you about the need for partnership with our community so that we can build a better Johannesburg, hence our motto. So that motto is not meant just, as a slogan. I'm explaining it in practical terms. Those SMMEs are going to be employing the locals who are going to assist them in fixing those potholes, in cutting that grass, in cleaning those streets. That will be creating employment for the people of Johannesburg. So we are saying that we are going to bring back those kind of programs which were discontinued. We want to expand the BRT route. It will be easier for you to take BRT from Soweto even to reach Tembisa. Those plans were disrupted in 2016. We could have had that BRT by now. But unfortunately, if you take people who don't have a long-term vision, who don't have clear plans, they will not be able to do the things that we have done. We might have, weaknesses in terms of certain things that we might not have done well. But there is a lot that we have done very well in the city of Johannesburg. Many of the Soweto areas.
MANGANYI, I will ask you to wrap up, because otherwise Bishop Adams will start accusing me of favoritism.
Yes, I think let's get to the issue of the time frame.
Okay, time frame, yes.
Yeah,
I can see that he's becoming uncomfortable now.
No, he can't be uncomfortable. He knows that even the ICASA agrees that the ruling party must be given more airtime than others. So we are speaking to many constituencies, Bishop. He knows, in fact. So,
Time frames, yes.
after the 1st of November. So the good thing about us is that we are not going to talk about what we want to do after the 1st of November. We are talking about the process that we have started. After the 1st of November, it will be the continuation of ensuring that the issues that we have identified, which we have managed even to get into the core of the problem, are addressed. You know, so it's not a matter of us starting from the beginning, but I'm convinced that after the 1st of November, we will be able to have registered a progress, Pastor. And as the Premier have committed, I'm hoping that even the legal team from your side have managed even to provide what you requested, so that at least, we don't take long, because we can't continue wasting more time in dealing with this issue. It has been dragging for long, so it needs a sense of urgency. So let us ensure that we get all those requested documentation. I have committed myself the first time I was here that I'm going to be observing each and every process and the step that is taken about addressing the matter of this church. And I'm still going to continue to do that, to monitor the commitments that we have made, to ensure that they are implemented, even from our own deployees in the City of Johannesburg. Even before the 1st of November, they should have contacted you, Pastor, in terms of how they plan to deal with the issues that you have raised with us and the Premier, so that you are aware in terms of our plans of how to deal with those issues. But I have already made a reflection of what I believe needs to be corrected, and we need to get in at that stage and to have that conversation of how do we do those kind of corrections moving forward, because there must be recourse, there must be recourse to the church for the injustice that have been done to the church. So I don't want to say by the 20th of November, everything will have been concluded. It will be a process, of engagement. There will be a process of ensuring that, can the city take over this infrastructure, compensate the church, for the money that the church have utilized, to build the new church where the church is moving to, and use this infrastructure for community development. That is the option that is available, because I believe that it cannot happen that this land is going to be left unused. These buildings are going to be left unused, and the church loses the money that has been invested here. Somebody must pay for it. And where I'm sitting, the city can use this. I mean, look at this church, how big it is. It can even be a multi-purpose kind of a center that can be utilized. The land itself is very huge. You can do a lot for those residents that you have allowed to build here. Well, it's an industrial area. Their kids, they can have activities here in the church. So the municipality must be decisive to take that particular decision. So those are some of the things that we will engage our deployees in government to ensure that they take over this church, compensate the church for the monies that the church have spent in this land because of the mistakes of the same City of Johannesburg.
Thank you very much, Mr. MANGANYI. Today you have said, or tonight you have said something very important, because up until now, it was just a matter of just bullying the church with no one taking responsibility from the side of the ruling party. So at least the first step is done. Yes. Listen to this. While he was talking about the smart city and whatever, somebody wrote that, yeah, the man can talk now, he's a real politician. I don't know.
In fact, smart city is my passion, because I'm even doing PhD in IT.
So
I'm talking about what I know.
You're talking about what you know. I don't know, Mr. MAGWENTSHU. You can hear, the guy has got experience. He knows how to to sell whatever that he has to the people, to the extent that the rather say, yeah, he's a real politician. Maybe now it brings out the question, what is a politician? What is a politician?
In fact, politician is Bishop who says he's not a politician. I'm not a politician. You know, somebody who does work, and political work, and is paid for that work. He's an MPL. He's paid to do that MPL work. He's a politician. He's a definition of a politician. I am an activist. I don't get paid Bishop, to do what I'm doing.
Not Bishop MASHASHANE, Bishop Adams.
No, Bishop Adams,
anyway,
not MASHASHANE. No.
Let us move, Bishop. Let us move to Mr. MAGWENTSHU. Mr. MAGWENTSHU. Yeah. Let us hear your response. You were not asked a lot of questions. It was few questions, so you can respond to that in conclusion. Thank you.
In conclusion, let me first respond to what the Bishop said when I mentioned the fact that we filed papers in the High Court regarding the stopping of or the closure of the churches. It is there. It's a fact. As we go out of here, I can show you. It was even out there in the media. If you go to your Star, to your Citizens, it was out there. It was out there, so it's not a lie.
What happened to your case?
What happened is immediately after we had filed the papers, then before it was heard, the government then relaxed the regulations.
That opening,
so that's what happened.
Even the court cases not to be heard. Oh, okay.
So, immediately after that, I will then have to check with our legal department as to what else did happen
afterwards. Yes. Because the other people decided that they were going to go on with the case to just prevent.
Yours was only having part A, which was the.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Those with part B like ours was then consolidated with.
Yeah. Okay. So we are seeing you going up and down, dealing with issues that are concerning church people. And you have heard for yourself, and if you have been asking yourself, who do we vote for? You were listening, and may the Spirit of the Lord also lead you in whatever that you do. Because at the end of the day, we say, thy kingdom come, thy will be done here on earth as it is in heaven. That is what I'm going to say in conclusion. And I'm going to stress again, don't stay away from voting. Make sure that on the 1st of November, you are voting. Make sure that you are doing the right thing. And we have to teach our children to be responsible. We have to teach our children to love our land, our beautiful land, South Africa. We are given a very beautiful land, our heritage, by the Lord. A land that is so rich, a land that can be able to take care of us all. God did not make a mistake by putting us here. We cannot run away from this country. We have to work together in order to build this nation. Nobody should sit back and point fingers and put blame on others. Let us work together. And to all of you who are contesting these elections, whatever happens, when you find yourself there inside, whether you are in majority or minority, or you are in opposition, make sure that you serve the people of our country. Above it all, serve our country. Let it not be about your political parties. Let it be about serving the people. Let us see service delivery happening. Let us believe that we are going to have a better South Africa. A better South Africa where everyone enjoys living in this land except criminals and corrupt people. From me tonight, I say thank you for tuning in and keep on watching UBN. Bye-bye. God bless you. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.